Google is being sued for $2.5 decillion. That is probably a number you didn't even think existed. Like, that's more than a gazillion dollars. That's more than a more billion dollars. Like, this is an unfathomable number they are being sued for by Russia. To help put it in perspective, here's Decillion compared to others that you've heard before, such as thousand, million, billion, or even trillion. And you can see trillion's not even halfway there. It doesn't even make a dent. It's estimated that the entire global GDP is 100 trillion, which is like 0.0000001% of what Google is being sued for by Russia. To put it in even more simple terms, 2.5 decillion is almost as many pounds as your mother weighs. It is crazy what they are trying to achieve with this lawsuit here. Shooting for the stars doesn't even cover it. You couldn't sell the Earth for $2.5 decillion to aliens. It's not even worth that much. If you took every dollar, every form of currency ever made throughout the history of our species, it wouldn't even come close to 1 decillion. I cannot stress enough just how absurd this number is. Like, Dr. Evil wouldn't even go for this. This is so far into the realm of lunacy that I don't think there's a single made-up villain who would even try this. At this point, it'd be like a fucking Phineas and Ferb character suing for infinity money. The lawsuit is over YouTube banning Russian media networks. Like, they banned a ton of Russian accounts and accounts associated with, like, the Kremlin and all of that. And the fine arises from Google's failure to comply with previous court orders mandating the reinstatement of these Russian media accounts on YouTube. The court warned Google that non-compliance would lead to compounding fines with no ceiling on the amount, starting at 100,000 rubles daily, and the fines doubling every week until the channels are restored. This is what it feels like to play Magic the Gathering with someone doing doubling season token shenanigans. Like, this is just fucking stupid. The fines doubling every week? It's like a RuneScape scam. What the fuck? What in tarnation? So, fundamentally, YouTube had banned a lot of Russian media accounts and accounts associated with the Kremlin and all of that. And Google has repeatedly cited sanctions compliance as the justification for suspending content from the channels, including high-profile networks like Tsargrad TV and RIA Fan. They argued that the media entities involved were under US sanctions imposed in response to Russia's geopolitical actions since 2014. So fundamentally, Google is saying, hey, we had to do this because of these issues and these sanctions. Then in 2022, following the invasion of Ukraine, the subsidiary of Google that was operating in the region declared bankruptcy, and Moscow had seized more than 100 million from the entity. According to The Telegraph, Google said Russia handed the assets to sanctioned TV channels including Tsargrad, and that they seized more than 100 million of Google Russia's assets, even though the amount purportedly due under the judgment at the time was less than 12.5 million. So this has just been a back and forth butt fucking for quite some time now between Russia and Google. Now, Google in its latest earnings statement said, "We do not believe these ongoing legal matters will have a material adverse effect." To me, that sounds like they're saying, there's a lot of words here and we're not reading them. They're just going to ignore it. They're not even going to play ball with it for even a second. They're not entertaining the idea of a $2.5 decillion fine. They're just plugging their ears to it. Google has almost entirely ceased operations in Russia already. Like, they've almost fully pulled out from what I can tell. So it seems like they're just going to pretend that, you know, the Tooth Fairy's not real here and just not think about it. So this has been an ongoing battle here between Russia and Google, and this is just the most recent development in the anime. I don't think there's a single world where anyone actually looks at that number and takes it seriously. 2.5 decillion is comically large. There's not even that much sand on the planet. There are 7.5 sextillion grains of sand, and that doesn't even make a dent into 1 decillion. There is nothing on this planet that exists in that quantity, except maybe atoms. I think atoms is like 10 to the power of 50. Now, I can't imagine they're actually stupid enough to think that Google is somehow going to poop this shit out, 2.5 decillion anythings at all. That's impossible. I think this is just like a desperate Hail Mary to get some kind of money from it, like some kind of big fine from all of this. So they're just letting this number be as outrageous as possible. And they are trying to enforce these fines in other regions like South Africa, where they're trying to kind of come at Google from multiple angles, and then Google has been, in response, filing lawsuits to keep everything like localized to Russia. So it's been pretty messy. It has definitely been an interesting journey trying to get caught up on the lore of Google versus Russia. And I just had to dive in with both nuts here because 2.5 Decillion, I had never even heard of the word Decillion before. I thought that was just a made-up term. And it's not. It's so crazy. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. Of course, I'm just a clueless Neanderthal, so I have no idea if this lawsuit has any real meat behind it, if it holds water at all. I didn't pass the bar, I'm not a lawyer. But from my uneducated perspective, it just sounds so fucking stupid. To be coming at Google for this amount of money over YouTube accounts being banned, I think is ridiculous. It's not like those YouTube accounts were going to generate anywhere near that level of money. Realistically, all of the YouTube accounts put together probably wouldn't have generated anything even close to $100 million, even if they were operational for 100 years. Like, I just don't understand where this number's even coming from. Like, I understand it's like the compounding fines where it doubles every week, but it's just made up, pulled out of their ass arbitrary nonsense. Like, can any YouTuber do that? Like, oh, my YouTube account was unjustly terminated. Google owes me $1,000 per day that it stays down and it's going to double every week. Well, based on what? Why? That's just a classic because I said so moment right there. I just don't see where they're getting this from. Like, why would it be doubling every week? Like, who made that rule? What referee came in there and threw the flag on the play saying that it needs to be doubled every week that they don't comply? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Those accounts were never going to generate anywhere near that level of money for a daily fine that would double every week. That's just, that would never happen. So how the fuck can they possibly expect Google or any, like, reasonable judge to look at that and be like, oh no, that sounds about right? Again, I'm pretty sure it's just to be, like, intimidating and scary to settle for some kind of payment out of court, perhaps. But to me, this just doesn't seem to be, like, a lawsuit with a ton of punch behind it. Like, it really just doesn't seem like they have the strongest case to be coming at them for this amount of money. Now, it's worth mentioning, just like the end of a Marvel movie, it will return. This ticking time bomb hasn't stopped. It's still going, and it is still actively doubling. So it's 2.5 Decillion now, but this might be the cheapest it'll ever be because in a month from now, a year from now, we may be looking at new numbers that are going to need to be invented to figure out how much Russia is trying to hit Google for. Anyway, though, I just had to talk about it a little bit because it was so crazy, and I was diving into it pretty deep this afternoon. That's really about it. So, yeah. Right now, there's an extremely interesting lawsuit going on between Activision and Anthony Fantano of The Needle Drop, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's a real eyebrow raiser, I'll tell you what. For starters, most of these publications refer to Fantano as a TikTok music critic. That's the most disrespectful shit ever. That's like cheerleaders laughing at you right to your face, pulling your pants down. Like, that's so embarrassing to get labeled that. They're spitting on him. Fantano's been on the internet long before TikTok ever even existed as an idea, so I'd have to give those headlines a light too. But anyway, when reading those headlines, what I expected in this story was Activision being 100% in the wrong and bullying a creator because they are a company known for shady, awful, garbage, horrible, horrible things, as well as being unbelievably greedy. So I thought this would be a case of that, them strong-arming a creator and wiping their ass with their face. But after reading through the actual lawsuit and going over the case, it's super weird because Activision is still a supervillain, greedy, evil corporation, but the argument they're making in this lawsuit is actually one that helps normal TikTok users. I want to make it clear right away, I am not a fan of Activision. You certainly won't find me pumping my fist for that company. I am no Activision enthusiast. I am, however, an Anthony Fantano fan. So this was a really weird case because I don't see how Anthony Fantano could possibly argue his side. You know, melon magic can only go so far, and in this case, I don't think it'll be far enough. And if Anthony Fantano did somehow win, it could open the door to large-scale exploitation of a system a lot of normal TikTok users rely on. And I'll explain what I mean in a moment. And I want to be clear right now, Anthony Fantano has not spoke his piece on the subject yet, probably because it's a very touchy legal matter, so it'd be very difficult to speak on it. So I can only really give you the perspective of what's been laid out so far, and maybe that'll be subject to change as it continues, but basically right now, Anthony Fantano had a very popular meme of him go viral called Enough Slices. It's a meme that's been used endlessly on TikTok. It's become a very popular meme. And Activision recently used it in an advertisement they made for Crash Bandicoot on TikTok. And Anthony Fantano allegedly cease and desisted them, to which they complied and took down the video. But then, according to Activision, Anthony Fantano reached back out and said that they're going to be required to pay a substantial amount of money in damages for using his intellectual property, basically, that meme. And they said, no sir, we're not playing ball here. That's not a game of foosball we're interested in engaging in. So they are countersuing Anthony Fantano and looking for a declaratory ruling that states that he will no longer be allowed to try and get money out of users or companies that use his meme clip, because they say that that Enough Slices meme was knowingly entered into the commercial sounds library on TikTok. Now, most of you have probably already activated your super sniffer and smelled a little something fishy here, because there is a big difference between a normal TikTok user, you know, fucking Cliff Blast Cleaver using Anthony Fantano's Enough Slices meme for a goofy little TikTok he made, and a company like Activision using a meme he made to sell a product. They're very different. It wouldn't be unheard of to be okay with a normal person using your meme and not being okay when it's a company using it to sell a product that you don't agree with and you don't like. And that's a fundamental right that you have, that your likeness can't just be manipulated and used to mislead consumers or something into believing that you support a product that you don't. And this is what makes the case really interesting, because in here, what they used was a meme from Anthony Fantano that they are arguing was opted into a program called the Commercial Sound Library, and in the Commercial Sound Library's terms, it very clearly states that when you opt in here, when it is part of this directory, that it is completely fair game for companies, brands, advertising partners, and normal users to use for any and all purposes whatsoever, which does include paid content and advertisements. Now, since the ad was deleted, I'm unsure if they used Anthony Fantano's actual video clip that has his face in it, or if it was just the audio. I'm really not sure. But even still, the meme itself was uploaded, apparently, to this Commercial Sounds library, so Activision's argument is that he can't just selectively enforce who is and who isn't allowed to use that meme, because it has been uploaded to the Commercial Sounds library, allegedly. He can't just revoke permission for people that he doesn't like or brands that he doesn't support. That's the core of their argument. They're also claiming that this is overt gamesmanship, a nefarious money-making scheme from Fantano, where he'll allow some people to use it, but when he sees that there's a financial opportunity to make money from it, then he strikes and pounces on it and tries to threaten for money in return for the use of the meme clip. According to Activision, he's stated that he's done this before to a couple of other organizations, I suppose, to which they have complied, but Activision isn't going to. They are arguing he doesn't have the legal grounds to do that. He can't just selectively enforce who's allowed to use that when he has knowingly uploaded it to a directory that has a blanket use for everyone for any purpose whatsoever. And it extends to normal users too, and this is what I was saying a bit earlier, where this argument from Activision is actually helpful to normal TikTok users, because normal TikTok users often rely on the Commercial Sound library in their content, and by their own terms, it should be safe for them to use. But if Anthony Fantano does squeak out the W here, the big dubski, it would kind of throw that into turmoil, where you wouldn't feel comfortable using the Commercial Sound library anymore, because there could be a bad actor that has swooped in to exploit it, where you might use one of their memes and they'll sue you for it or demand compensation for it, even though it was uploaded to the Commercial Sound library. So like, if Sally Strawberry taps into a popular meme and the user's like, damn, that content was fucking cheeks, that was some turbo ass, I want money because you used it, then it would be a lot scarier. Now, obviously, Activision isn't making this argument for the better of the platform. They're arguing in their own selfish interests, but what they're arguing does actually extend to help protect normal users if Activision wins. I've seen a lot of discussion on this topic, and it seems it's all hyper-focused on brand versus creator, which I do understand. A lot of the claims are around brands trying to exploit creators and use their likeness to mislead consumers through advertisements and falsely label support where there is none. Like, I do get that angle, but this case is not specific to just that. If it was, I wouldn't really give a fuck. My heart's not exactly breaking or shedding any tears because brands might not be able to use TikTok memes. That's not a big deal to me. It's just simply, this was in the Creative Sound library, and there is a potential that it wasn't uploaded by Anthony Fantano with his knowledge. There is definitely wiggle room that maybe there was some kind of automatic inclusion in there that he didn't consent to. That is possible, and that would be a core component of this case that would be very, very interesting if that's the truth. But since it is there, and it does clearly state brands can use it for any purpose, then if the rules against them, it means that no one can really use it for any purpose, because all of a sudden it's now unsafe. This is just one of those things where I do think there's a potential for a dangerous precedent being set, where if someone knowingly uploads something to the commercial sound library, which obviously states that it can be used by anyone, including brands, for any purpose, you really shouldn't have the right or ability to start attacking selectively and threatening people for money, because that extends beyond just brands. That extends to literally any user ever. What's to stop me from uploading tons of audio and sounds and shit to the commercial sound library as bait, and then just going around cease and desisting and demanding money from people that use it because they were under the impression that it was safe to use? It's one of those things that exists on other platforms as well. Like YouTube has one for music. It's the Common Music Library or something like that, where artists knowingly post songs that are DMCA free for creators to use. You know, they just choose the music and it's totally fine, there's no problems. But what if an artist said, you know what, I'm going to put music on here, and when a popular YouTuber uses it, I'm going to demand money from it, even though it's uploaded to a service that states that it's, you know, okay to use and there will be no problems with it. It's one of those things where these directories exist on other platforms like YouTube and Twitch, and if all of a sudden people are able to put things on there as kind of like a trap where you use it and then you could potentially face like a lawsuit or something, it's just bad for everybody, not just brands. And according to a lawyer named Richard Hogue, he believes the company has a decent case. Basically, he says, as described by Activision, it would seem they have a good case. The TikTok audio library appears to allow for general commercial use on TikTok, so anyone placing content in the library should be limited in their rights to challenge. That said, there could still be facts we don't know, like whether an unauthorized third party actually affected the sound's inclusion, or even where it might have been automated. So fundamentally, the entire case is going to have to be argued on Fantano's side that he was not the one that put it in the commercial sounds library. At least that's my understanding of it, because again, it is entered in there apparently, and since it's there, it means any brand, company, or user can use it without consequence. It's fair game, you know? It's open season on enough slices. So Activision's saying, since that's the case, Anthony Fantano can't try and threaten them for money because they used it. And Activision is seeking a declaratory ruling that will prevent not only Anthony Fantano, but anyone on the platform, any kind of bad actor perhaps, that might come forward to try and extort money out of users that use content from the commercial sound library, when it's totally in their right to use that content. The only thing that can really win this for Anthony Fantano, I think, is if he can prove that he wasn't the one who opted into the commercial sound library for the Enough Slices clip. It was some kind of third party that automatically entered it in there without his knowledge, or it was, you know, a fucking burglar broke in and in the middle of the night uploaded the Enough Slices audio or meme clip to the commercial sounds library. I feel like that's the only thing in this case, but even then, I still don't know how liable Activision would be for damages, because it's not like they would know that it wasn't Anthony Fantano that uploaded it. It's there, thus you would work under the assumption that the user is the one that put it there. So the whole case is just really messy, and it really fucking sucks because I very much dislike Activision. I really fucking do. But here, I just don't really see how Anthony Fantano has a good argument in this case. I'm going to go ahead and just play all the stream clips where I went through this from the very beginning here so you can kind of follow along with the entire story. I kind of just broke it down here in the beginning, but in the stream clips you'll get to get the entire, you know, situation, so I'll just go ahead and let that rip. The game company claims Anthony Fantano is misusing intellectual property laws by threatening to sue TikTokers over a widely memed audio clip. Video game giant Activision is suing a prominent TikTok music critic over a viral audio clip that he created, claiming he is unfairly demanding that some of the social media users pay him an extortionate settlement after they reused the heavily memed clip. In a complaint filed Monday in California, Activision accused Anthony Fantano of misusing intellectual property laws by threatening to selectively sue TikTokers who use Enough Slices, a popular audio clip that originated with a video Fantano posted in 2021. Activision, which says it receives such a threat after it used the clip in a promotion for its Crash Bandicoot franchise, claims that Fantano intentionally made the clip available through TikTok's audio library, meaning he cannot now sue the hundreds of thousands of users that choose to use it. This dispute is a textbook example of how intellectual property law can be misused by individuals to leverage unfair cash payments, Activision's lawyer wrote. Fantano was very happy to receive the benefit of the public use of the Slices video. It was only after he identified a financial opportunity, namely receiving unjustified settlement payments, that he suddenly decided that his consent was limited. This law does not permit, and the court should not countenance such overt gamesmanship. That is interesting. If you make something available through the TikTok audio library, I'm very unfamiliar with the platform, does that just waive your right to enforce, like, IP law on it? Probably. Makes sense. It's like a public audio repository. Well, what I want to know, if on TikTok, do things just enter the TikTok's audio library by default, just by posting? Because I know they have that, like, original sound shit, and it goes to the source, and it's like fucking Bumblefuck Joe over here is the one that created it, but it's not like he did it on his own accord. TikTok auto-generated it. At least I think that's how it works, right? You have to make it a sound through a video. Oh, so you do have to, like, say, I want this in the audio library by making it a sound. That's a very interesting case. So has Fantano done this to other TikTok creators, or is it just Activision? And if it is other creators and not just Activision, I wonder what the legal ground is for using it in an official ad. Because it'd be different if it's just like, you know, fucking Carl Hamburger using Anthony Fantano's meme in a TikTok versus Activision using it in an official ad. Only way I think Fantano has a case is if someone else uploaded his video audio to the library. True. In its lawsuit, Activision says there's an obvious reason why this clip was used so widely. Fantano deliberately and knowingly added the audio to TikTok's library, making it easily available for millions of other users to incorporate into their own videos. They say he even opted into the commercial sounds library, which means he agreed his clip could be legally used in promotional videos and brands. That sounds like a dagger if that's true. That sounds like it's open and shut if that's the case, if that's real. If he opted into the commercial sounds, that seems like he waived all rights on that. I don't know how he'd win this case. The company says it was surprised when it received a legal threat from Fantano after it used Enough Slices in a TikTok video depicting the creation of custom Crash Bandicoot sneakers. He allegedly told the gaming giant the use of his clip not only used his name and likeness rights without permission, but also violated federal trademark laws by suggesting he had endorsed the company's games, which is a real thing. You can't do that. But if it was made readily available on the Commercial Sounds library, I don't know how you're supposed to argue that you didn't give your permission. That's what this is for, I imagine. This is what it's for on every other platform. Maybe it's different on TikTok. Activision says it agreed to pull the clip down, but Fantano demanded the company either immediately pay him substantial monetary damages or be prepared to defend a lawsuit. The exact amount of money demanded was not included in the lawsuit, but Activision says Fantano asked for a six-figure sum and said that other companies had paid a similar sum in order to avoid the expense of litigation. What the fuck? On his Dr. Evil grind, $1 billion. Hey, I'm always rooting for the little guy here. I don't know how you're supposed to somehow argue that what they did is illegal and violated federal trademark laws if it was knowingly agreed upon to enter the Commercial Sounds library. That seems like it's an uphill battle, but I mean, that maybe there's more to it. This is right now just Activision's lawyer. With Fantano's approval and encouragement, hundreds of thousands of TikTok users have incorporated Slice's audio into their videos over the past 2 years. But now, Fantano has embarked on a scheme whereby he selectively threatens to sue certain users of the Slice's audio unless they pay him extortionate amounts of money for their alleged use. The commercial music library from the TikTok's ad manager. Let's see. In order to get it there, it's called commercial sounds. Even in the own post, commercial sounds. But it's listed as the commercial music library. Okay, I see. So this is it. This is correct. CML features commercial sounds, both with and without lyrics, whatever. Who can use the commercial music library? Is for TikTok users that use TikTok for marketing, advertising, sponsorships, endorsements, or publicity, including official brand accounts, their promotional partners and creators, NGOs, and government organizations. You can also use the commercial music library for organic and paid content. This sounds like it's kaput. If it was uploaded there by Fantano, I think it's probably checkmate. Yes, sir, lawyer critical. Hey, man, it's just basic reading comprehension. If I uploaded me saying, you know, woo, yeah, baby, to the commercial library, I can't exactly be upset if all these brands start using it. I can't then start looking for compensation. Yeah, you can. No, I can't. I literally cannot. Do you agree that your sound can be used by brands, marketing, endorsements, sponsorships, and all of that? Yes. Okay. And now I don't. I've changed my mind. You can't. Why? Because you signed. It's here. You put it here. It's literally the SpongeBob scene of, is this your wallet? Like when Man Ray's trying to return the wallet to Patrick. Was the advert also on TikTok? Apparently, yes. According to this, it was a TikTok video they made about Crash Bandicoot that used the sound. I think Danny's right. I think he'd have to prove that he wasn't the one that uploaded it to the commercial sound library. Even then, that wouldn't be on Activision. Them taking it down at his request would have been more than enough. True. That would be true. They would have no idea that it wasn't him, but instead his evil twin that uploaded it. I mean, you're not wrong. And they did take it down. They just said, oh, okay, we'll take it down. And now they have to defend themselves against a lawsuit, or they have to defend themselves against legal threats, and are now issuing a lawsuit as a counter. Are you talking about this last sentence? Activision is seeking a so-called declaratory ruling that Fantano cannot sue TikTok users over the clip. They're saying that Fantano can't go after anyone that uses the clip because they're well within their rights to, since he waived the rights by putting it on that commercial library. I'm confused. This trial about Okay. Here's a little advice to all of these publications writing articles about this. Change the title. This title has confused everybody. Actually, reading through the case is very different. In a nutshell, Anthony Fantano had a very popular clip, meme clip, which was entered into the commercial music library, commercial sound library, whatever, on TikTok. It became usable, so a lot of people used it on TikTok, including Activision. And when Activision used it, Anthony Fantano threatened them, forced them to take it down, which they did, and then said, if you don't pay me a six-figure sum, allegedly, then you're going to have to defend them. You're going to have to defend yourself in court. And then apparently also said other companies have paid a sum to avoid this. So now Activision is suing, saying, no, you can't do that. You uploaded this to the commercial sound library, meaning anyone can use this, including companies. And Activision's right. It's literally in the exact terms on TikTok that the commercial music library is usable by any brand, any user, anything for any purpose. You consent to that being used anywhere when it is uploaded there. I don't know how he would win this one. But I'm no Activision fan, so if he squeaks out a dub from this, that'd be fucking crazy. That would be wild. I have no idea how he'd do it. I don't even think Saul Goodman could pull this one off, but if he somehow did, that would be unreal. That is a good point, actually. Okay, you made a good point, Otaku. Cool name as well, I guess. It'd fuck everyone else by letting him win and set a precedent that you could pull your agreement after making it. That would be actually pretty dangerous. If Fantano does win, he sets the precedent that even if you upload your sounds to the commercial sounds library, meaning you waive the right and anyone can use it for any reason without compensation, if he does win, that means anything uploaded there is fair game for a lawsuit if you use it. That's a very good point. That's very true. That would be bad. Nintendo and lawsuits go together like cereal and milk. They are no stranger to dishing out lawsuits. They would sue an 8-year-old if they found out that their grandmother made them a Mario nightlight.
They've been this way for years, so it's no surprise that they're suing Palworld. I'm actually surprised it took them this long. For a while, I thought it maybe wasn't going to happen because Palworld, when it came out, everyone compared it to Pokemon. I called it Pokemon with guns, everyone called it Pokemon with guns, and it was one of the biggest games to launch of the year. Well, one of the biggest games to launch in general on Steam. So it's not like a game that flew under the radar. Nintendo would have been alerted to it. Well, that is assuming they use the internet, which is a far-fetched notion. They only just recently learned what email was like 5 years ago, so who really knows? They're probably still working off dial-up over there because that company is so fucking archaic and out of touch. But there is a very slim chance that they weren't aware of Palworld, and they vaguely talked about it. They did make some posts back when Palworld was popping off that they will do anything they can to protect their copyright. And they also announced that they were going to be investigating, but a lot of time passed, tumbleweeds started to blow through, there was cobwebs on the story, nothing came from it, so I started to assume that maybe they didn't find anything that they had any real legal ground to pursue Palworld over. But it turns out that was wrong. Instead, they spent all this time charging their alt. So now Nintendo and the Pokemon Company have jointly filed against the company behind Palworld, Pocket Pair. Also, I'll just go ahead and say what everyone's thinking. Pocket Pair, I mean, that's kind of on the nose. Like, there are things here like that seem extremely close to Pokemon. But anyway, we'll talk about the actual patent infringement lawsuit in a moment. I want to talk about Palworld itself. I and many others really liked Palworld because for the first time in at least a decade, it felt fresh. Nintendo's just let Pokemon get super stale and recycled. And somehow they can't even just hit copy and paste correctly half the time. Like the newest one, Scarlet and Violet, was a fucking mess. That game looks worse than some of the Pokemon games that came before it. It's when you continuously like download a JPEG and you know it ends up looking like some kind of fucking cursed images straight from one of the circles of hell. That's kind of what Pokemon's become. Like, it is just the same game regurgitated endlessly, and even when they do try and do a few new things like with Legends of Arceus, it's half-baked, so they don't even fully realize some new concepts they might want to try. It's just, most people, like me clearly, have really lost their faith in Nintendo to deliver a good Pokemon game. Enter Palworld. They take the Pokemon formula and they make it feel fun and exciting. And yes, of course, to the hall monitors out there, you'd be lying to yourself if you said that the pals were totally unique looking. There are some pals in the game that look almost identical to Pokemon counterparts. It looks like they just changed a few colors. But you're not going to hear me whining about that, not going to order any French fries there and shed tears over them having similar designs from their pals to Pokemon, because Pokemon doesn't fucking use them for anything worthwhile. So, I don't really care. I'm not going to be upset on behalf of a billion-dollar company for it, but I did think this was going to be the strongest case Nintendo had against Palworld, because the designs are almost identical in some situations. But it doesn't seem like that's what they're going for. So, the patent infringement lawsuit. That means that they believe Palworld infringes on a patent they hold, so not like designs or anything. Instead, they are seeking an injunction against infringement and compensation for damages, which indicates the lawsuit is civil, and according to an attorney, the fact that it's a patent infringement suit and not a copyright claim means the case isn't about copies of Pokemon themselves, but rather some aspects of the game design that Nintendo and the Pokemon Company protect as a new invention patented. That really raised a few eyebrows because, like I said, the main thing people point out is how similar the designs of some pals are to Pokemon. So you would think that they'd go after them for a copyright infringement, like, hey, you've taken our characters and you've made one-to-one knockoffs. You've made bootleg Pokemon over here. But they're not. They're not trying to make the argument, hey, you took a Rayquaza from us and turned it into a Rayquazar in Palworld. They're going after them for patents, meaning like technical inventions that they own the rights to. So in when it comes to games, sometimes things that are patented are mechanics. So the most notable one that I see referenced a lot, and it's one that I think about from time to time, is the Nemesis system from the oh my god, my nose is really getting congested here. Is the Nemesis system from like Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War. That's an incredible system, and there's a reason you've never seen it used since. It's because Warner Bros. Has that patent and they just shove it up their ass and just sit on it. They don't use it, and no one else can use it because it's patented. There was also a really notable one You know, mini games that used to be in the loading screen of games a long time ago? Well, that was patented as well, so there was a reason why you no longer had mini games when a game was loading for such a long time. It was patented. Now, conceptual and visual similarities aside, Palworld and Pokemon play wildly different. Palworld is a survival game with an emphasis on exploration, building, and combat. Like, you use fucking guns. Like, it is wildly different from a Pokemon game from a gameplay perspective and what you're actually doing. So, it's weird to target that. However, it seems, and this is the best guess that people have, that Nintendo has a patent on video game character throwing an item to catch a monster while out in a field. So, the Japanese application specifically refers to Pokemon Legends Arceus, which allows players to throw Pokeballs in the overworld rather than limit catching to wild battles. It also includes what looks to be a version of the game's Pokedex pages, which track information like how many times the player has encountered the Pokemon in question or has seen it use a specific move. Palworld does contain catching mechanics similar to Pokemon Legends Arceus, so this may be one of the patents included in the lawsuit. Additionally, developer Pirate Software speculates that the lawsuit relates to Palworld's Pal Spheres, which are similar to Pokeballs, and Nintendo filed a patent for this in Japan back in 2021 and got it approved in 2023. I think the speculation is probably correct here. Those are like the two main gameplay mechanics that Palworld has that Pokemon also has. I can't really think of any others off the top of my head that are patented, at least. So I think that's probably where they're heading with this lawsuit. And I know a lot of people have talked about this, but I want to echo it. Patenting gameplay mechanics fucking sucks. It stifles creativity because a mechanic can work as a foundation that others can build upon and create something beautiful out of. That's like the very definition of how some art blossoms. It starts somewhere and it evolves through others doing similar things but growing it in different ways. So if you patent something and forbid anyone else from touching it, it really sucks for every person that's not the company with the patent. I'm going to use the Nemesis example again. The Nemesis system could have been a staple in gaming, but instead it is now only in 2 games. Granted, both games are bangers, but if we could have seen that explored in other titles, that could have been one of the best new mechanics of the modern age. I love the Nemesis system. That had so much potential, and now it just festers. It sucks. Nobody wins there, except for Warner Bros., I guess, because they have a gold mine that they refuse to tap into. So, when it comes to gameplay mechanics being patented, I'm not extremely happy about that, but that's the legal ground that they're going to stand on and attack Palworld for, and I guess we'll see how it plays out. Palworld has responded. To sum up their statement, they're saying that they're going to be going through all the legal proceedings and investigations, and they don't know what specific patents they're accused of infringing upon because they have not been notified. They then go on to explain that they're a smaller indie game company based in Tokyo, and they just want to create fun games that bring people joy. They then say it's unfortunate we'll be forced to allocate significant time to matters unrelated to game development due to the lawsuit. However, we will do our utmost for our fans and ensure that indie game developers are not hindered or discouraged from pursuing their creative ideas. So it doesn't sound like they know exactly what they're being targeted for with the patent infringements yet. I'm assuming that'll come later down the legal proceedings since this is still very early into it. And I guess we'll see how it plays out. I imagine Nintendo probably wouldn't, well, Nintendo and the Pokemon Company probably wouldn't pick this legal battle if they weren't confident they could win. These are billion-dollar companies going after Palworld now. That's going to be tough. Or maybe it won't be. Maybe they have a trick up their sleeve to prove they didn't infringe on any copyright. Who knows? I guess we'll see. Anyway, though, that's about it. So, yeah.
Right now, Gwyneth Paltrow is locked in a legal battle that I think has to be the most unhinged court case I have ever had the privilege of watching live. It's such a blessing. It really feels like this is a parody of the legal system, like it's some kind of old college humor skit about how court works, because I just can't believe this is real. Like, watching this Gwyneth Paltrow court case is like experiencing an episode of Psychosis without ever doing any kind of drugs or anything. It's baffling. Before even getting into the, the actual specifics of it, I just want to, lay the groundwork real quick. She's getting sued by someone named Terry over a ski incident that happened in 2016 where Terry's claiming she ran into him and caused a brain injury as well as other injuries and is seeking damages from that. And Gwyneth Paltrow is saying, no, she's wiggling her finger and saying, that's not what happened, Terry hit me. So now she's countersuing for $1. She's looking for $1 in damages as a result of all of this. So already the case itself is delivering on the goofiness, but what elevates this and brings it to a higher level and turns that dial from goofy, blowing all the way past wacky, and even teetering on silly, is the fact that the two lawyers that are representing them feel like they've never practiced law in their entire life. I wouldn't be surprised to learn this is their first case, or that this is all just one big publicity stunt and these are two actors pretending to be lawyers.
This is about 11. She hears, suddenly she sees, and a man comes up right behind her. It's like they begin falling to the right, and he hits down side and his head, and so she's pulling. Now, he's like, I know the whole thing. Younger woman, not younger, young. Does that say said? I can't read it.
Now, I know it's not exactly fair to do a little supercut here of his explanation of the situation, but if you just watch the whole thing, it's not much clearer. It really feels like he's trying to recall a nightmare he had after taking NyQuil. Like, he's just trying to recall this dream, and he's not getting it across clearly. Like, even my cat was confused. Like, she came in here and jumped up while I was watching this live, and must have overheard some of his explanation, and then immediately just got the fuck away and went over there, and it's been hanging out ever since. The thing is, like, he's presenting like he's nervous. He's actually delivering his side of the situation like I would deliver a class project back in college, where I'm presenting to the class and I've got the butterflies in my tummy, so I'm fumbling all my words, I can't get any of my thoughts out clearly. Like, it just does seem that he has a problem with public speaking, which I've never really seen from a lawyer before. And it's not like his opposing lawyer, his opponent here in this legal combat, is any better. In fact, she seems like she's just more of a fangirl of Gwyneth Paltrow, and all of her questions are just kind of conversation starters for small talk between them. And keep in mind, this lawyer is representing Terry, so she's supposed to be grilling Gwyneth Paltrow and trying to, like, prove that Terry's the one that's telling the truth and he deserves to win the case. But when I listen to her statements, it really just feels like she's, like, internally freaking out because she's getting to meet and talk with Gwyneth Paltrow. It's so weird.
Good friends with Taylor Swift?
No.
Overruled?
You're not good friends with Taylor Swift.
I would not say we're good friends. We are friendly. I've taken my kids to one of her concerts before, but we don't talk very often.
You've never given Miss Swift personal, intimate gifts for Christmas?
Your Honor. Relevance, or I would like a bench trial.
Well, she's just said that she wasn't friends with her, so I'm inquiring on that.
I was half expecting this lawyer to then turn around and say, if you give me some free Taylor Swift tickets, I'll go ahead and drop this whole case right now and throw Terry to the fucking wolves here. Like, these interactions don't lead to anything. I tried to get the context on what the fuck the thought process here even was with bringing up Taylor Swift out of the blue. And it's apparently because Taylor Swift also did some kind of lawsuit for like $1 in damages as a countersuit back in like 2017 or some shit. But it's still completely irrelevant to the whole case here. It doesn't really serve a purpose to try and establish a connection between Gwyneth Paltrow and Taylor Swift, because that has nothing to do with getting to the bottom of this ski incident and who's at fault and who should be awarded the damages. Now, while we don't know who's fully at fault for the ski incident right now, I do know that you're at fault for bad fashion choices if you decide to miss out on the new Moist Global Swamp Core line. It's our new swamp wear, very Duck Dynasty-esque, beautiful garbs. Every time the lawyers ask questions, it just reminds me of that scene from Godzilla 2014 where he says, "Let them fight," referring to the kaijus. But instead of it being giant monsters here, it's giant fucking weirdos. Everyone involved in this case is weird. You all know I'm not a big fan of Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop in particular. I think Goop is downright dangerous at times and at best extremely stupid. In fact, I'm surprised she hasn't gone to trial for her scam of a candle, "This Smells Like My Vagina." I made a whole review on that candle, and I promise you, no vagina has ever smelled like that candle. It was fraudulent. It was misleading advertisement. It was completely false. It did not smell like her vagina, and I'm very confident. In fact, I might even go for a lawsuit to see if they can put Gwyneth Paltrow's pussy on the stand so we can all smell it and compare it to her candle. But that's a can of worms for a different day. Point is, I'm not a Gwyneth Paltrow fan. And Terry went on the stand today, and after hearing him, I'm certainly not a Terry fan. I don't know who's at fault here. Gwyneth Paltrow moves around and acts like an evil rich supervillain, so I definitely do think there's a chance that she is the one that just blasted Terry because she's not good at skiing and then had no empathy and left him there. That's super possible, but I also think it's equally possible that Terry is a shitty skier and a pathological liar who has been chasing this potential bag for 7 years, because originally he was seeking $3.1 million in damages, but it got thrown out due to them ruling it wasn't a hit and run, so he came back and is doing it again, but this time for a lower amount of $300,000 in damages. So it really feels like both people are fucking weird. But before showing you Terry, I want to show you one more best of moment from Gwyneth Paltrow's lawyer, who tries to see if they can bring in treats for the bailiffs.
This private security for my client wanted to bring in treats for the bailiffs for how helpful they've been. So I wanted to do that transparently and see if there are any objections.
We object. We object. Okay. There's an objection.
Okay, so I will let them know.
Let them know thank you, but no thank you.
I mean, he should have asked us first, frankly.
It hasn't been done.
I know, he should have asked us first. We can talk about it, but he just sprung it on us now. So we object.
What'd you find out about the jury?
This guy actually feels like a camp counselor and they're on a school field trip or something. Like, holy shit. So the treats were shot down. They put the kibosh on that. But they were open to negotiate. In fact, they get into a little bit of a tiff, a slight argument about, well, if you had only, asked us before and discussed it, I mean, maybe we could have all had treats together, maybe even a little pizza party. I mean, you didn't really give us notice. You sprung it up out of nowhere. You ambushed us with it, so nope, not anymore. Now none of us get to enjoy any of these baked goods.
You were asked about the press conference and referring to Miss Paltrow as King Kong. Were you referring to her as King Kong or the noise that you heard?
That's leading, Your Honor.
What did King Kong refer to?
I got to watch this whole segment unfold live, and my god, what a treat. So right now the line of questioning is about King Kong and explaining why he said King Kong. And this is Terry's response.
My apologies to Ms. Paltrow, because my intention got twisted up in my intentions and was to say it sounded like a lady getting chased by King Kong out of the jungle. It was that kind of I'm really scared.
He clarifies that the sound he was hearing reminded him of a woman being chased by King Kong out of the jungle. So that cleared all of that up, luckily. Another question that I feel gets pretty much fucking nowhere.
There was some testimony from Miss Paltrow again that she was hit in the back by a very large man, or that there was a very large man. Could you just step down for just a moment? Terry, do you... No, right here. Right here. Do you consider yourself a very large man?
Many times I wish I was, but no. Definitely on the small side of most people.
Finally, real evidence to poke holes in Gwyneth Paltrow's story. She said, apparently, that she was hit from behind by a large man. So, in order to prove that this is a false claim, she brings Terry out to just embarrass him, like, He is not a large man. This is a small man. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. This is a manlet. It just puts him on blast like that. Terry, my brother, I am also on the small side. I'm 5'6". If someone called me out to prove a point that there's no way this whole case is real because Charlie is too fucking short to fit this definition, he's too much of a goddamn hobbit for this to be true, I would have just said, it's not worth it, please. The shame is too much for me to bear. Just let that claim be accurate. Let the large man claim stick. That's fine. We can fight on every other point. Please let the large man stay in the record as truthful. Don't fucking have the jury point and laugh at me because I'm short. Like, good lord, this was... I mean, I understand what the thought process was here, like, trying to prove that, you know, she can't be a reliable source of information since she says it was a large man that hit her and Terry's not that big, but I mean, holy shit, it's still a wild thing to watch unfold like this.
You've been here for a number of days, you've heard all the doctors testify, your entire life has now been broadcast to the world.
I feel like I've been fleshed out, and anyone up here I think would feel the same way. Very painful.
In fact, I think you just told me back there, well, I could never go on another dating site again.
Objection. Terry can go on any dating site he wants. Sustained. Again, this is just simply a line of questioning maybe I'm too dumb to understand. What does this have to do with anything? It's a public trial, so of course, on both sides, a ton of information is going to come to light to the public. So, I'm unsure of where this was supposed to lead. Maybe it was supposed to make people feel, like, bad for Terry, like, on the stand, like, oh, man, you know, this guy, he's had his whole life laid out in front of everyone now. You know, I guess? I'm not really sure, but it just doesn't really seem super pertinent to the actual issue here.
Yeah, I'm classifying it as an insult, but it's absolutely ignoring me, ignorance. And that's what it felt like. It's like, what is going on here? This is obviously an issue that someone needs to be accountable for. And if they're never accountable, what are they going to do? They're going to do it again. Now we have the molesting of young children on an island.
Your Honor,
denial.
This is ridiculous testimony. He's talking about...
Sustained as to relevance, the last part, the jury should disregard.
Now you can see things going a little off the rails here. So the question that brought this section up was, is the lawsuit important to you? Which again is one of those fucking galaxy brain questions, those chess master moves I can't quite process, because fucking obviously the lawsuit's important. He's been pursuing it for years now. I mean, Jesus Christ, clearly it's important. And it led to this situation where he's saying, if he doesn't do something, it's just going to happen again, and then it leads to the molesting of children on an island. So that's a lot to take in right there. That's a lot to digest. I think he's talking about the Epstein Island and the Epstein book. I don't know if Gwyneth Paltrow's name was in Epstein's flight logs on his lists, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised if it was. Half of Hollywood was taking trips to Epstein's Island. Bunch of goddamn evil freaks. But I don't understand exactly how we got to that point in this case here. And I also like the statement preceding it that if he didn't sue Gwyneth Paltrow for this, she'd do it again. As if, like, she's just this absolutely rambunctious villain on the slopes out there that is constantly running into people out there like a fucking pinball. Just actually bulldozing everyone she can, and it's up to Terry to stop her. Put an end to her reign of tyranny on those slopes because she just keeps hitting people. It's as you can see, this whole case, this whole trial is wild.
You've said you've shrunk and lost weight since the incident, right?
Well, I gained, I ballooned.
Now, when we stand you up, you've lost like 15 pounds and shrunk 3 inches, right? Yes or no?
I had no idea. I guess yes. I was
just a few days ago. You said I was 175 to 80 and 5'8". Remember?
I said that not here. Oh, you know what?
In this very trial.
Overruled.
I know why I said that. It's because the VA records weighs you with all your clothes and everything on, and I knew that's what you were reading. Was what
clothes
the VA
don't
reported.
give you 3 inches. You with me?
Heels do.
Did you have heels on?
No, not at all.
All right.
Now the tables have turned again. Phoenix Wright is back, and he's grilling him on a potential lie here. stating that he had said that he was heavier and taller than he actually is, and says that you stated that you were 5'8", but as we've seen today, you're closer to 5'5". How did you lose 3 inches so quickly? That doesn't make any sense. It's not like you set the height setting from Wumbo to Mini. So what the fuck is going on here? This seems like a lie. And that's kind of the line of question he's going down. The whole thing is just such a weird trial. Like, I feel like half the time they're not even focused on the actual skiing incident. It just goes in all of these completely different directions that you'll never see coming. These plot twists in this trial are wild. And I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because I got to watch a good chunk of it today. And it's something special. So yeah, I just wanted to go over it a little bit. That's about it. See ya. Yeah, I'm a filthy little greasy goblin today. Clearly I haven't showered yet, and maybe I won't shower today. That's the beauty of being an adult. I get to make my own gross choices. But what I'm choosing to do before showering, at the very least, is talk about the most wild development in any drama situation I've seen so far. Across the entirety of my time on the internet, I haven't seen drama reach this climax before. I'll go ahead and speed run the breakdown of the chess cheating drama that's been going on for over a month now. I've been following it since the Genesis. It has been a non-stop, action-packed, wild and wacky ride straight into fucking drama Valhalla. It has been the gift that just keeps on giving. The carved wood drama is unlike anything I've seen before. It all started when Hans Niemann played Magnus Carlsen at a tournament. Hans Niemann beat Magnus Carlsen, which was a surprise to the entire chess world since Magnus Carlsen is the best. And then Magnus Carlsen made a loose accusation of cheating against him. The entire chess community then started accusing him of cheating against Magnus in order to win. That's when the anal bead cheating theory was hatched. Some people speculated he may have had Stockfish, a chess engine, stuffed into a small butt plug that he inserted into his asshole before the tournament, which fed him the correct moves. This was more or less just a meme theory, but a lot of people truly believed Hans Niemann was cheating. Eventually it came out that Hans Niemann did actually cheat in online games. Hans Niemann even confessed openly to cheating in online games, but maintained his innocence in over-the-board physical chess matches. And then Chess.com came out with evidence against Hans Niemann that he has cheated in more online games than he initially let on, including online games for tournament money, and more than he had initially said to the community. And that's where the drama had stopped until today, where Hans Niemann published this lawsuit going after all of the people that have been very staunchly against him and hard accusing him of cheating. A $100 million lawsuit has just been filed by Hans Niemann against Magnus Carlsen, Magnus Carlsen's company, Play Magnus, Danny Wrench and Chess.com, and Hikaru Nakamura. A $100 million minimum lawsuit. Now, this is a defamation case. Hans alleges that all of the cheating accusations he's been slapped in the face with have had a detrimental impact on his career and his reputation, and also are hindering his future in the profession that he's dedicated so much time for, which is obviously true. I think there is somewhat of a real concern of being blacklisted from tournaments going forward just based off the reputation as a whole. But also, Magnus Carlsen said he refuses to play Hans Niemann. The last time the two met each other after this cheating scandal, Magnus Carlsen resigned after 2 moves. He just fucking rage quit. Man just fucking disconnected the Ethernet cord and left the Call of Duty lobby. He just outright immediately forfeited because he just refuses to play Hans Niemann, believing that he's a cheater. So this means that if a tournament wants to have Hans Niemann and Magnus Carlsen competing, they really can't. They'll have to choose one or the other, because if the two meet again, Magnus will likely just flip the board once again. So this could absolutely impede Hans Niemann's career going forward, as well as the opportunities and tournaments he can play for. Now again, I really do want to drive this home. While Hans Niemann has publicly confessed to cheating and Chess.com has publicly come out with more evidence to confirm his online cheating, he still 100% maintains he's never cheated in over-the-board chess, and as of this moment, there is still not concrete 100% confirmed proof that Hans Niemann has cheated in over-the-board chess or cheated against Magnus Carlsen. And we may never know if he did. You know, we can't go back in time and spread his butthole in front of the camera and check if there's anything there. We just don't have that ability to do that yet. Now, I do want to mention there have been studies run on Hans Niemann's performance, and some of them raise some concerns amongst the community. There also have been chess engine correlation reports run on Hans Niemann's games to see how many of his moves correlate to moves engines would make. But all of these, as I understand them, aren't definitive proof that he is cheating. So we just don't know for sure yet. Everyone's going to have different opinions on it, and it's just such a messy situation. And now we have this lawsuit to dissect. So, like I mentioned, he is suing some of the people that have been hard accusing him of cheating for at least $100 million. I'll go ahead and stand up in front of the class and read it out loud. Accordingly, Niemann is entitled to a money judgment against defendants in an amount to be determined at trial, but not less than $100 million, including compensatory, consequential, and punitive damages. So this is where the at least 100 million comes from. It looks like, you know, he's not going to settle for anything shy of 100 million. He won't even get out of bed for anything below 9 figures here, which seems like a lot right away. I bet you could add every single chess player's winnings for the last 100 years together and it wouldn't even come close to 100 mil. So this number is shooting for the stars here. And just for reference, here's the top 10 all-time prize money winners. They're not even breaking 10 mil. So it really seems like that number is way out of proportion here. Hans Niemann could play chess professionally for the next 1,000 years and never even come close to earning $100 million. So those damages seem outrageous, but I'm not a lawyer, and from what I understand, this is very normal in defamation cases where they just put an absolutely astronomical number there just to try and get as much juice for the squeeze as possible and make it like as big and scary and intimidating as it can be. I don't think they're actually hoping to get that much. Wherefore, Niemann hereby requests that the court grant the following relief. On the first cause of action, money judgment in favor of Niemann against defendants, the specific amount of which to be determined at trial, but not less than 100 million plus pre-judgment interest. And then B, second cause of action, same thing, no less than 100 mil plus pre-judgment interest. Point C, third cause of action in favor of Niemann, not less than 100 million plus pre-judgment interest. Point D is a little bit different. Money judgment in favor of Niemann against defendant, specific amount of which to be determined at trial, plus prejudgment interest. This doesn't have 100 million listed there for some reason, but it's the exact same wording. And then point E, fifth cause of action, no less than 100 mil. Now this is where my little reptile brain started to malfunction and overheat here, because it looks to me like it's 4 separate asks of 100 million each, which would be a $400 million total. And that's how a lot of other people interpreted it as well. But after doing a little more research and seeing what a lot of lawyers are saying about it, it appears that these 4 things that list 100 mil as like the damage is if any of these 4 are found to be truthful, then any one of them should amount to 100 million in relief to Hans. At least that's how some of the lawyers have broke it down. Basically, the reason it's there 4 times is if any of these are found true, then it should be 100 mil, and it's not going to stack. So if multiple are found true, it'll still just be 100 mil. It's not like additional or anything like that. So I'm going to run with that because that's what makes the most sense to me once it was explained. I don't know if I'm doing it justice and explaining it to you guys, but it looks like the total is 100 million, not 400. Either way, though, that is still a super duper high amount to be suing for here. Now, after reading and watching some lawyers break this down, most of them were giving their perspective on whether or not this is even like a winnable case in any capacity for Hans Niemann, because there are some sections of this lawsuit that are just downright weak that they point out, but also some of it just reads like an angry blog post from like a salty soccer mom in a couple places. Like there's a whole section where they just put in parentheses king of chess when referring to Magnus Carlsen and talking about him being a coward or a sore loser who couldn't accept losing to Hans Niemann. So things like that stood out to me as like, wow, that doesn't sound professional. I wouldn't expect to see that kind of language in a lawsuit. But the lawyers were more focused on whether or not this was a legitimately winnable case. And most of them agree that the lawsuit does actually have some bite to it, but not all of it. So Hikaru Nakamura being listed here seems like that's completely a lost cause. They were kind of scratching their head on that one because in order for Hans Niemann to win against Hikaru, he'd have to prove that Hikaru knew Hans wasn't cheating, knew the evidence wasn't legitimate evidence, and then still accused him of cheating anyway. Which of course sounds impossible to prove. But his claims against the Magnus Carlsen and Play Magnus, as well as Chess.com, most of them were saying there is a chance for Hans Niemann to squeak out a victory here because there isn't actual evidence to prove he's cheated at the moment. So it would all come down to discovery. Most of them were saying discovery will be like the actual deciding factor in how this case goes, because they're going to need to prove that they have real evidence that Hans is cheating in over-the-board chess, at least according to some of the lawyers I've watched. Otherwise, Hans Niemann does have a case against them for the defamatory statements of cheating and the accusations and implying that he's cheating, because it's such a reputationally damaging thing that impedes his ability to compete further. Overall, though, what a crazy development in this whole chess cheating scandal drama. We started from anal beads and now look at us. Yeah, this shit is just going insano style. So yeah, just wanted to drop that hot plate of spaghetti and meatballs on the table for you here because, wow, that's really about it. So yeah. You should check out Acer Thorn. I discovered him a year ago on YouTube. He's currently suing me for $1.2 million for copyright infringement. There's vids about it. He also sued his university, parents, state of Arkansas, Google, Microsoft, etc. You're one of the people named in the Acer Thorn case? So as I understand it, and if you really are someone named in this suit, maybe you can shed a little more light on it in the chat. He is suing these YouTubers because for Acer Thorn's content, he only does paid content, paid streams, where you have to pay him, I think it's $20 to listen to him ramble. And some YouTubers used clips from one of those paid streams in order to talk about the points he was making. So he's saying that they owe him $20 per view on the videos they made about it. I only know a little bit about his history, but apparently he's just one of those serial suers that just sues everyone and everything for every trivial possible reason he can think of. In fact, he would probably even throw a lawsuit at me for defamation for even talking about it, I imagine. Which would be quite the power move. Originally this started after a collab stream between me and Acer Thorn in which he timed out a lot of chat users for mentioning his past in the court. I didn't agree and asked what it was about. I was yelled at and he left in rage and later sued me. Somehow he attracted the attention of more content creators like Kretosis, Sid Alpha, and he added them to the lawsuit as well. Can't you just say no if someone sues you? I see we have a lawyer in here. You can't sue me if I don't agree to it. You don't have my consent. Honestly, this reads like a promotion. I'm a YouTuber and Twitch streamer. You can find my links here. Here's my YouTube and my Twitch.
I know he did this because he proceeded to make a video that included this clip. See infringement 23.
Can you say this in a lawsuit? He acquired possession of that clip because duh? What self-respecting lawyer would write that? This is like a teenager's blog. Does he write these himself?
That means he necessarily acquired it through unauthorized means.
Oh,
so
you wouldn't download a car.
Here. The first is the most obvious, that Acer Thorn's factually...
The lawsuit says he's representing himself. Yikes. Oh my god. So does he just do these frivolous lawsuits as like a creative writing piece? The last time I saw someone represent themselves in court, it was a guy who murdered someone and his defense was, yeah, I murdered her, and what are you gonna do about it? Well, I'm not exaggerating. The guy who murdered, I think it was his girlfriend or something. It was a viral clip on YouTube like a year ago. The guy who murdered his girlfriend was like, I murdered her, but you're all getting how I did it wrong. This is how it happened. And he did it like he was delivering some kind of pregame pep talk. What actually happened is I killed her over there, not over there that you claim. As if that was like what was up for debate. I probably can't show the clip, and it's pretty fucked up because it's an actual murder case, but yeah. That was the last time I saw someone represent themselves. He wasn't denying that he killed her, he was just saying that they're getting the story wrong of how he killed her. Was he found innocent? I don't think so, man. But imagine the world were like, oh my god, he's right, it looks like she really was killed in the other room. Like it's a game of Clue. Oh, it wasn't Colonel Mustard in the library. Now we gotta let him go. Watch the clip. I'm not fucking touching an Acer Thorn clip. It's just like handling raw sewage. No chance. I'm not touching him.
So it's a 2-minute clip. It's really, it's not a 2-minute clip. It's really short.
Some sort of evidence to prove to me that he has been harmed in any appreciable way, as I seriously doubt very many of my own viewers would be willing to lobotomize themselves to the point where they would be willing to provide such an inept content creator as Acerthorn with any money whatsoever. There is, however, a third decision.
Get ready for the next lawsuit, Sid Alpha, for that little smackdown there. So, Sophian says that the clip is him accidentally going live and spazzing out. So is the reason he got all upset because he looked silly? Is that what it's about? Yeah, that's the reason. Oh. Thanks to give some Big Mary. So how does that even happen? Like, he accidentally started streaming and then what, just making noises? Like, what was he spazzing out about? I'm not gonna look it up. I'm not gonna even take the chance. Like, I can't think of a single time I've ended stream and just started going like fucking wacky inflatable tube man with my arms and making crazy noises or anything. Imagine Crazy Frog, but stupider. He was just doing goofy stuff. You tell me the guy accidentally started a stream and just started hitting the bring ding 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 or something? Is that really what happened? Man, he should be thanking people for covering that. That makes him look human. He accidentally emoted.
Acerthorn has ever questioned why. And while I know he's watching, I'll let him go and spend a few furious hours looking up a few dozen legal precedents that only tangentially relate to what he alleges. Why? And because I'm a cruel bastard like that.
Bro, you're using big words. Acerthorn in his own lawsuit put in parentheses because duh. Oh, voice crack, wow. Like, you're throwing words around that he's gonna have to Google and you're gonna insult him with it.
Also, within the Sophian P lawsuit, we already know that Acerthorn claims he did not make those noises, which we all know to be a blatant lie, and it will be fun to watch him twist in the wind over that one as well. Myself in a lose-lose situation, whereby in order to have a copyright to even enforce, I must admit to having made the noises myself, which in turn means I must publicly admit to being deranged. Not quite, but...
What are you talking about? Everyone makes goofy noises from time to time when they're alone. Shit, I make them on stream sometimes too. What do you mean? You have to admit to being deranged? What is wrong with you? What? Oh my god, now I have to publicly come out and say that I'm a lunatic because I made silly noises. People are gonna look at me like I'm a fool. Thus, I'll sue this man. That way no one thinks I'm a fool. Jesus. In order to avoid looking like a clown, he became the whole circus.
Alright. It is actually the other way around. Because I have the registration for the copyright, that means I hold the presumption of copyright validity. To overcome this presumption, the defendants would have to insist that I did not make these noises, and once they do that, they've just admitted to defaming me when they called me deranged. No, that's really not how that works. So instead, it is actually the defendants, not myself, who have placed themselves in a lose-lose situation by embracing this legal theory for invalidating my copyright.
Can you put exclamation points in your lawsuit? This honestly reads like a blog post. Ah, but in fact I was 2 steps ahead of them, like an anime villain. They were wrong. They're in the lose-lose situation. Huzzah! It's a court document twitlonger. Pretty much, this is what it sounds like.
Computers and phones for impounding so that they can have any of his content removed from them, and to also remove any of his content from any website. He then requests maximum damages of $150,000 for the 23 alleged cases of infringement for a total of $3,450,000.
Oh my god! Holy shit, this guy's going for the moon! Hooey! I don't think it's gonna make it very far for what it's worth. I'm no expert, I didn't pass the bar or anything, but... I mean, the way he wrote that lawsuit seems like any self-respecting court is never gonna actually take it seriously. Stand back. I'm about to name drop an ancient evil that I haven't talked about in a couple of years now. Poopsie Slime Surprise Unicorns. This was a very expensive toy that was marketed towards children, and the whole concept is it's a unicorn that poops into a toilet. There's 2 models, one that just sings about defecating, and then one where kids can become their own little Walter White, and instead of making meth, they're making feces, and it'll poop it out into a toilet. I made a video on it almost 3 years ago now. It's actually where that woo yeah baby meme comes from. It was from the Poopsie Slime Surprise video.
and I made quite a bit of content around it because I was so blown away by the concept. It's just a toy that shits. That's it. And yet it's extremely popular with kids. I understand I'm getting older now, and aging is cringe, but there's no way I'm that out of touch. What the fuck is the joy of watching a plastic unicorn take a shit? I still don't fully understand it. And it's not just Poopsie. It spawned an entire wave of shitters. So there's a flamingo that shits called Gotta Go Flamingo. There's also a couple other animals that do it as well. And it's all just about a dilated butthole fucking dumping slime into a toilet and calling it shit. It's wild. But anyway, the reason I'm talking about Poopsie today is because they're actually getting sued by the Black Eyed Peas because Poopsie Slime Surprise made a parody of their song, My Humps. It's called My Poops. I'm not going to play any of it for you now because it could now be a bit of a legal issue if I was. But the song goes, my poops, my poops, my poops. What you gonna do with all that poop? Whoop, whoop. I'm gonna get loopy off my poopy. And it continues, and it's very clearly supposed to be a play off My Humps. Apparently they didn't have permission for it and are being sued by the Black Eyed Peas now, which is just a wacky lawsuit because it has to talk about Poopsie and shitting unicorns and comparing it to the Black Eyed Peas music. This is going to be a lawsuit to keep an eye on. This might be a industry-defining moment. This is a big one, no doubt. I went over it on stream, reading about it. I was actually surprised to learn that apparently a parody like My Poops is often protected by fair use regulation. I was under the impression that when you're borrowing other melodies and music from existing tracks, you had to pay for the licensing rights to use it, like the same way you do if you're using samples from other songs in your music. You have to pay for the sample. I thought it worked like that for a parody song as well. But I guess there's actually a bit of gray area there and some wiggle room, so there is a chance Poopsie Slime Surprise walks out with a W from this lawsuit. But then again, they could absolutely get flushed down the toilet. But hey, like I said, I'm not entirely sure. It's an interesting and goofy lawsuit nonetheless. There is a chance Poopsie Slime Surprise emerges from the sewer victorious. But anyway, I'll go over some of the stream moments here while I was reading about it and expanding on it. Did you hear about the South Park lawsuit? No, but you did just remind me one I haven't talked about yet. The Black Eyed Peas are suing Poopsie Slime Surprise. I totally forgot to talk about that. You remember that pooping unicorn? The shit that gave me an involuntary vasectomy when I was getting out of the packaging? They're getting sued because of their track. So Black Eyed Peas, My Humps ripped off by pooping unicorn toy lawsuit claims, which it was. I don't know if I can even play the song, considering this is now a legal issue, but the song goes, my poops, my poops, my poops, gonna get loopy off my poopy. It's very much a rip-off of My Humps, and I guess they didn't have permission to do that, which is interesting. Doesn't fall in the parody. Well, you still need permission to do a parody. If you're using the exact same, like, everything, you still need permission. That's why Weird Al never made a Prince song, because Prince would never give him permission. Oh, I forgot how expensive the Poopsie Slime Surprise is. $100 to $300 on Amazon. And one of them doesn't even shit itself. The one that slammed into my nutsack, that one actually doesn't shit itself, whatever. And it's still super expensive. That one just sings and dances. If you want the one that actually cooks up and, like, brews feces, it's a big science project. Matt and I made, like, 3 videos with the Poopsie Slime Surprise a few years back. I know this toy inside and out. I performed, like, colonoscopies on this thing. So yeah, I know all about the entire animals shitting themselves genre of children's toys. This is the clip, this is the video where the whoa yeah baby clip comes from. This one, yeah. This has been in circulation for a long time. I'm surprised they've waited like 2 or 3 years to sue them. Maybe they were trying to make sure that it got maximum money, so they were letting it ride for a long time so that way they could like sue for more, because they could claim more damages and they can turn to like the profit the Poopsie makes, because it's apparently a very popular toy. which I would have never guessed. That would have been a galaxy brain scheme, and it's probably exactly what the reasoning was. People pay for unicorn shit when I can send you shit for free. Why would you do that, though? That just costs you money to send the shit. This is kind of a weird paragraph. BMG's lawyer alleges that My Poops infringes on Black Eyed Peas' surprise 2005 hit single My Humps, 75% of whose publishing rights belong to BMG thanks to a corporate acquisition. What's the point in mentioning that it was a surprise hit? It feels so weird. And then, I guess the corporate acquisition is pertinent to the case, but still. Interesting to just mention that it's a surprise hit single. It was the Black Eyed Peas. They didn't make anything that flopped during that era. So, going into this, I felt like the Black Eyed Peas had a pretty strong case, but listening to them argue it is kind of silly. It uses a similar delivery and vocal inflections as used by Fergie on the original sound recording. I just couldn't disagree more. I'd love to pull up the song real quick, but I don't want to get slapped by this somehow. It's very clearly like a Alvin and the Chipmunks style vocal. Fergie doesn't sound like that. That's just like an insult to Fergie to compare her to the shitting unicorn vocalist. It's pretty dumb. But, I mean, overall, yeah, they did rip the song, and I guess it was without permission. Oh, interesting. MGA Entertainment first released the toy in time for Christmas 2018. The suit alleges that when BMG became aware of the infringement, it sent a cease and desist letter, which they ignored. What a fucking Chad. Yeah, we make a unicorn that shits into a toilet for kids. What of it? We're gonna play hardball. Fuck your cease and desist. Oh, interesting. The company could argue that My Poops is a parody of My Humps and thus protected as fair use. In Campbell v. Acuff Rose Music in 1994, Supreme Court held that the parody can be a form of comment or criticism on the original work, which is protected. I thought you couldn't do that for music, though. Am I misremembering? Because for Weird Al... he never... yeah, Weird Al never did a parody of a Prince song and never will. Because Prince didn't want him to. Now, was that just out of respect? Because I thought it was a legal thing. Okay. I was misunderstanding then. All of this over a defecating unicorn. I have just got to give an update to the wackiest trial that's ever been broadcast. It finally concluded. And goodness gracious, geez Louise, I tell ya, what an adventure. Since the invention of video technology, we've been building up to a moment like this. This is why video exists. To capture this public trial, Gwyneth Paltrow versus Terry Sanderson. It's a legal battle where Terry Sanderson insists that Gwyneth Paltrow hit him on a skiing slope 7 years ago and it left him, you know, debilitatingly injured, like a brain injury, turned him into a shut-in, this and that, and he was looking for $3 million in damages, which got thrown out pretty quickly. They wiped their ass with that whole case, saying that, you know, this wasn't a hit and run, but then he came back for round 2 looking for the sloppy seconds and came after her again, this time for $300,000 in damages, and this time it made it all the way to court, and thank God for that because we got to watch it live. In response, Gwyneth Paltrow was countersuing for $1. A single dollar. Like Mr. Krabs with me millionth dollar. She was coming after him for a single buck. One clam. Though I do think he'd also be responsible for covering her attorney fees. So realistically, it's more than $1, but the damages she was pursuing was $1 single dollar. The verdict is in. I don't want to spoil anything from this anime, but I would like to show you a couple Terry Sanderson best of moments real quick, just to give you like a brief appetizer to wet your whistle on just how crazy this trial was.
Do you recall saying that you agreed that saying I'm famous was a crazy thing to say? Agree?
Absolutely, it's not me. I don't buy into that.
But it was you, right? Just to be clear. When you say it wasn't me, it was in fact you.
It's the other personality that's inhabiting my body right now.
And you blame Gwyneth Paltrow for that?
Yes. No question.
This case now turned into a demonic possession type deal going on right now. Terry's got spirits inside of his body that sometimes take control of it, I guess. Because it wasn't him that sent that email. about, I'm famous. It was a different personality living with inside Terry right there, working him like a fucking puppet, I guess. Terry does deliver some very important entertainment to the trial. However, the real stars of the show are undoubtedly the lawyers for Paltrow and for Terry. I'm convinced that this had to be some kind of social experiment conducted by the Impractical Jokers, and they were using actors for these lawyer roles because, Jesus Christ, I really felt like they were just feeding them these questions. The lawyer for Terry, she was pretty much a huge Gwyneth Paltrow fan and was just asking softball questions and conversation starters, literal small talk that you'd see from like Ask Reddit advice on how to talk to like your celebrity crush. And then the lawyer for Gwyneth Paltrow, that man you saw at the end of the clip, that guy I'm pretty sure didn't even know where he was half the time. It was a complete circus. But I want to focus mainly just on Terry, and you'll see why in a little bit.
This is obviously an issue that someone needs to be accountable for. And if they're never accountable, what are they going to do? They're going to do it again. Now we have the molesting of young children on an island.
Your Honor,
denial.
This is ridiculous testimony. He's talking about...
Aimed as to relevance, the last part, the jury should disregard.
This is really Terry's most iconic moment here, referencing Epstein's Island and putting himself as like the hero that could stop all of this if he only wins the lawsuit against Gwyneth Paltrow, basically. He hypes himself up like the fucking Batman who's standing up to her to put a kibosh on her hitting people on the slopes, as well as like, not letting it spiral out of control where kids start getting molested on an island. Now, like I said, I would wager a guess Gwyneth Paltrow has probably flown on Epstein's airline. Half of Hollywood has. Bunch of fucking evil weirdos out there. But it also has no relevance to the case at all in a fucking skiing accident and figuring out who was at fault. Now, I mentioned at the beginning, Terry was claiming he suffered huge injuries from this thing. Traumatic injuries, debilitating stuff that, made him a shut-in because he was afraid to go outside now after experiencing such pain. Well, that got called into question in a big way. I'll just give you a little montage of all of the pictures that Terry took over the last few years since the incident of him traveling the world and doing pretty intense things like fucking parasailing. So they start poking holes in that claim of, you were so injured that it turned you into a shut-in, yet literally, not even a full year later, you're already back skiing, you're parasailing, you're riding mopeds, you're going fucking hog wild.
After the collision... up in the ski resorts, or what is this?
Yeah, about a year later. I think I was just walking up in the hills above my house.
Okay, page 63. Is this you skiing after the collision? Is this you on a camel?
It is.
What country?
It's Morocco, because the Kia had Morocco heritage.
Let's go to 84. Is that you in front of something cool?
Yes, one of millions of temples in Thailand.
Is that you?
It is, yes.
Poster boy for fitness at age 75. Would you agree? Driving range, right?
Yes.
80. Is this you? Are you in this river cruise, river boat?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Page 81. Did someone you were with or you go parish sailing?
This was in Switzerland.
It seems Terry has traveled more than Jackie Chan did in Around the World in 80 Days. Terry has been everywhere and done everything, fucking parasailing. All of that's super cool, but you have to keep in mind, this was post, Armageddon here, where he claimed that ski accident with Gwyneth Paltrow was debilitating, changed his whole life, turned him into a shut-in, left him with permanent injuries, and yet he was still super active doing like physically demanding things, like going skiing again not long after the collision, fucking parasailing. That's a little interesting. So they kind of grilled Terry, and I want to make it clear, it's not like Gwyneth Paltrow did an amazing job either. It's not like her team was like fucking crack shot ace detectives, and it's not like she looked like some kind of genius saint up there or anything. But surprisingly, she looked sane in comparison to the rest of the circus around her, which is crazy because she fucking founded Goop, which is literally one of the stupidest goddamn things on the planet. I will still never get over her, this smells like my vagina candle scam. Very fraudulent, bad business practice there because that smelled nothing like pussy. And certainly not hers. Absolutely not. But again, she wasn't amazing, but compared to the rest, she did enough. I'll go ahead and show you the verdict now.
Paltrow at fault? No. Was Gwyneth Paltrow's fault a cause of Terry Sanderson's harm? Oh, skip that.
There's just no response there.
Okay. Was Terry Sanderson at fault? Yes. Was Terry Sanderson's fault a cause Gwyneth Paltrow's... Did Terry Sanderson's fault cause Gwyneth Paltrow's harm? Yes. Comparative fault. What % of the fault do you assign to Terry Sanderson? 100%. Damages. What amount fairly compensates Gwyneth Paltrow for economic damages? $1. Signed March 30th, 2023.
I love how if you listen closely, you can hear a subtle whisper when she says awarded like $1 in damages. Someone goes, nice. Which is fucking cute, I guess. Yeah, Gwyneth Paltrow won the case. Shocker. If you watch this unfold, I think you knew this was coming. This was one hell of a trial. Like, wowee. What a ball game. Now, don't be upset, Terry Sanderson fans. After the trial concluded, he was interviewed outside, and he was in very high spirits. He was even asked about a reality TV show, if he'd be open to something like that. Which, of course, you know, being the humble, not narcissistic gentleman that he is, he said, oh, no, I don't think so. I don't think I'll do a reality TV show. No way. Get out of town. But I'm not too sure. We might see more of Terry Sanderson in the limelight after this whole debacle here. But anyway, I just wanted to give a little update to all of this because this was so silly. This was so fucking silly. And yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. There are a handful of YouTubers that are currently being sued for $1 billion in a class action lawsuit right now due to them promoting FTX. I don't need to read you the bedtime story of the FTX collapse and disaster. In a very quick and dirty nutshell, it was a very, very large cryptocurrency exchange. You may have even seen the commercial with Larry David where it was, don't be like Larry. Crypto's coming and you don't want to miss it, so hop on board, choo-choo, this shit's going right to the moon, that kind of thing. It was this big hype train that seemed to have no end until it ended. The whole thing went tits up, completely collapsed, and was worth less than the gum stuck under your school desk. It was revealed to be fundamentally just a giant scam, and the person behind it, Sam Bankman-Fried, this weaselly goblin homunculus, was basically just a big fraudster, the puppet master behind this whole thing. And so the train derailed, and instead of spilling vinyl chloride, it spilt dust, because there was no money in there at all. So many people lost so much, it was a complete catastrophe, and since the days of its crumbling, a lot has happened. Not just with the people on the inside like Sam Bankman-Fried, but even the people who were loosely connected to it, like brand ambassadors, for example. They've already put Tom Brady, for instance, in the crosshairs. Tom Brady was a big FTX shill, as were quite a few other celebrities, but one of them I'd like to make special note of is Shaq. According to numerous sources, Shaq is currently trying to be issued a lawsuit for his involvement with FTX, but is hiding from them in his own home. So it's just almost kind of comical to think about Shaq hiding from the FTX lawsuit, like real Looney Tunes style, like he's, you know, crouching behind his bar in his home or something while the guy's trying to deliver paperwork to him, but he can't find him, like a mission out of fucking Splinter Cell or something. It's a wild situation. A ton of A-list celebrities are being sued because of all of this, and now it extends to more than just the A-list Hollywood celebrities and sports stars. It's extending to the YouTubers as well, which brings us to today's topic. There is a handful of YouTubers who are getting slapped with a $1 billion lawsuit for their involvement in the promotion of FTX. 1 billion clams. 1 billion sweet, precious doubloons are at stake now for these YouTubers.
And CoffeeZilla just posted a video going over all of it in great detail, so I'll put a link to that in the description. I just want to kind of give you the nitty-gritty of it and kind of get into what's going on and really what it means. Now, you might have had a little twinkle in your eye when you noticed a few of those names were familiar to you, and that's totally natural because these are huge channels on YouTube. They have millions of subscribers, and all of them are financial channels. Their content is always centered around big schmeckles. The topics are money, making money, advice, following trends, crypto, the whole kit and caboodle. And speaking of recognizing names on the list, I don't know if you caught it, but we actually have a cameo from a supervillain we may have seen in the past, BitBoy Crypto, Ben. Ben is named in this lawsuit. BitBoy Crypto is someone I've made 2 videos on now. The first was when he sued a YouTuber who was making jokes about him, and the second time was when he called a completely random woman a child molester because the woman was calling him out on promoting dog shit crypto. So, I'm not the biggest fan of BitBoy Crypto. So seeing his name in there kind of gave me little butterflies in my tummy. I had a little smile like, oh wow, how the tables have turned, because usually BitBoy Crypto is the one administering these lawsuits, which is a joke CoffeeZilla also made in his video, because it's just an easy dunk. BitBoy Crypto is very loosey-goosey with frivolous lawsuits, and now he's being named in a big lawsuit. It's poetic to a certain extent. But I'm going to have to go to bat for him, because BitBoy Crypto, as pointed out by CoffeeZilla, was actually one of the very few financial channels who started calling out FTX before they even collapsed. I know, I couldn't believe it when I heard that either. I didn't think I was even in reality anymore. I thought I got trapped in a Naruto genjutsu. The odds of BitBoy Crypto offering good advice are incalculably low. It's almost impossible. It's like almost as impossible as fucking Netflix's Big Mouth telling a good joke. BitBoy Crypto's entire career is built upon offering the worst crypto investment advice into these absolute dogshit moonshot coins that almost always lose his audience money. And yet, in this specific case, he fucking nailed it. He got it right. According to CoffeeZilla and his research, Ben had actually made a handful of videos letting people know that they need to get out of FTX immediately. That it's toxic, it's bad, and shit's not looking good, it's evil, this and that. And he was absolutely right. I mean, even a broken clock is right twice a day, as they say. And Ben absolutely hit the nail on the head. He pinned the tail right on that donkey. He was telling people like a month before the collapse even happened that they need to pull out now. And still, he gets named in the lawsuit here. As you can imagine, a lawsuit like this is a reputational stain for all of these YouTubers because people look to them for financial advice. And now their credibility has been fucking slammed. It's been slapped by this. Because they were shilling a fucking scam, basically, that lost a ton of people money. The big issue is they weren't just talking about FTX positively because they wanted to talk about FTX organically. A lot of them were being sponsored to talk about FTX and promote it. In fact, some of them even had a podcast that was sponsored by FTX. It's now been deleted, of course. They buried that as far into the soil as they could. But they were being paid to shill FTX, which of course gave FTX access to even more victims. It brought more people to the slaughterhouse here and completely butchered their finances when FTX inevitably crashed. So now let's start eating the meat to get to the bone. It's targeting financial YouTubers. I think you can probably imagine why. Financial YouTubers are looked at as experts in this kind of subject matter. Promoting FTX gives the perception to the audience that they've done their due diligence. They're working on the assumption that this financial YouTuber is a trusted source when it comes to this kind of information, so this product, which fits right in that wheelhouse, must be something legit and safe. Because this financial YouTuber is talking about it and feels comfortable enough promoting it, it's probably legit. They're viewed as experts, thus, when they're doing an FTX sponsorship, it makes it seem even more legit than if it was just some completely random goofball that has no knowledge whatsoever on anything like crypto. So that, to me, makes a lot of sense, but in CoffeeZilla's video, he talks to a real lawyer,
Legal Eagle. Legal Eagle is an amazing channel on YouTube that I can't recommend enough, and Legal Eagle weighs in and says that he actually views this as kind of a meritless lawsuit. I'll do my best to break it down very quickly, but keep in mind I'm also a fucking idiot. So, the first thing that the lawsuit needs to be successful is it needs to connect the endorser to FTX itself. But the people that were endorsing it, I mean, they're not employees of FTX, they're not agents, they're not directors or anything like that. And oh my god, I got something in my eye. Fucking Sam Bankman-Fried shot a dust particle right in my eye. And then the second main component is they need to have the endorsers be liable, kind of like privy to what was happening at the behind the scenes of FTX, which Legal Eagle argues is kind of factually odd because even if they're endorsing FTX, it doesn't mean they understand what's going on the inside of the company. They're not necessarily going to be given information that isn't available to the public. They're not going to automatically know more than what's publicly accessible to everybody else. So he fundamentally says that it's not the strongest case, and he doesn't think it's going to go anywhere, but it's going to be expensive for the YouTubers named in the suit to fight it. But regardless of whether or not the lawsuit itself is successful, the community of these channels is not super happy about this whole situation because a lot of them fell hook, line, and sinker into FTX because of their recommendations. In CoffeeZilla's video, he interviews one of the people here, and CoffeeZilla doesn't pull punches. I always very much appreciate that about his interviews. So here he does absolutely lay it down to get to the bottom of very important questions such as, are you going to give back the money you made from the sponsorships? And all of those things. And all of it's answered in CoffeeZilla's video. But one thing that's interesting about the person being interviewed here is that he puts the onus on the viewers that fell for it, not so much him. In fact, he makes it very clear that he doesn't feel responsible. He just feels bad that some of the people that lost all of their money for being irresponsible in their own personal way. He doesn't feel responsible for it, which I found very interesting. I agree with CoffeeZilla that the viewers look at channels like his and other financial YouTubers as experts in this field. So when they're recommending something like FTX, they assume due diligence has been done and that this is a trustworthy organization that they can put money into. And in the case of FTX, that couldn't have been further from the truth. Thus, their credibility now is completely in the shitter. And a lot of people lost a lot of money from this trusting these YouTubers, which is a big problem. And that's a point CoffeeZilla likes to make at the end of the video that I think is a very strong point. So overall, these YouTubers are being sued for $1 billion. It doesn't, from the sound of it, from the expert like Legal Eagle, it doesn't sound like they're actually going to lose a collective $1 billion from all of this unless some kind of crazy shit comes out. But regardless, it highlights a huge issue where they would promote this product without ever really bothering to look that deep into it, which isn't a problem that's exclusive to just these financial YouTubers. That extends to the broader platform of YouTube as a whole. And in fact, it's happened to me before as well. On the official podcast, we actually had a sponsorship slot for Robinhood. And even though Robinhood isn't like an outright scam or anything, at least not that I know of, they have done some unforgivably shady shit. And I still feel awful about that whole situation because they had like 5 slots on the podcast and I thought it was a good service, but I was kind of naive to think that. I am no Robinhood fan anymore after the multitude of scummy moves they've made. So it is something that has happened in other verticals of the platform, but in this case it is targeted directly at the financial YouTubers in the lawsuit, and it's a very interesting situation here that I'm going to keep my eye on to see how it all plays out. But anyway, just wanted to talk about it a little bit. That's about it. So yeah. I've been more into lawsuits than Saul Goodman recently. I've become such a huge lawsuit enthusiast over the last like 6 or so months. Not me like issuing lawsuits, I've still never done that. Though, with all the stories I've read, that could be a very interesting branch of content, just frivolously filing lawsuits to see how it goes, I guess. Because apparently no one ever gets punished for doing that. Best example is the classic silly Billy Mitchell, the video game player of the century who files a new lawsuit anytime someone makes a joke about him being a cheater. And I'm not using the word allegedly, Billy. You are a scumbag cheater, and I hope you lose all of your ongoing lawsuits, brother. But anyway, enough bravado here and lat spreading on Billy Mitchell, celebrating every single L that he keeps taking, and will most likely continue to keep taking. Let's focus on what I want to talk about. I have really enjoyed diving into the most outrageous, most unhinged lawsuits imaginable. And last night, I found the magnum opus. This is the craziest lawsuit I've ever even been made aware of. There was a lawsuit I covered a couple years ago where there was a Twitch viewer who was suing Twitch because they were showing him female streamers and he couldn't stop jerking off, so he was suing for like millions of dollars worth of damages, claiming like it's immoral that Twitch would have these, female streamers doing suggestive things and it forces him to masturbate or whatever. And that, to me, for a while, was probably one of the most entertainingly awful lawsuits I'd read about. But what I read last night actually beats it. A man in Australia filed a lawsuit against a hospital for $1 billion Australian dollars, which converts to about 643 million freedom bucks. And the reason he was suing this hospital is because he watched his wife give birth. He believed that what he had witnessed there was basically a war crime, like a violation of his human rights and a complete failure on that hospital's duty of care to him, to make sure that he didn't see that. He was upset because the hospital not only allowed him to watch his wife's birth via C-section, but also encouraged it. Which to me doesn't sound like anything weird from the hospital. I mean, they call it the miracle of childbirth for a reason. Plus, if he wasn't allowed to watch it, I feel like that would be a huge problem. Being denied access to your wife during, like, the most important moment of your relationship, I imagine would actually be grounds for a lawsuit. Most people, I would imagine, would want to be there with their partner to comfort and, be able to take part in the gift of life, I guess. But this guy believed that they should have, shielded his eyes and plugged his ears or something, and the fact that they didn't caused him psychotic illness. And he believes he's entitled to at least $1 billion Australian dollars in damages. Did you hear about the man suing a hospital for $642 million after watching his wife's C-section and said it gave him a psychotic illness? You've got my attention. You undersold this. He's actually suing the hospital for $643 million. Man tries to sue a hospital for $643 million after he was encouraged to watch his wife's C-section. A man in Australia accused a hospital in Melbourne of causing him to develop a psychotic illness after he watched his wife undergo a cesarean section. Interesting. 643 million clams. Anil Coppola tried to sue the Royal Women's Hospital for letting him watch his wife's birth via C-section in 2018. He unsuccessfully sought $1 billion Australian dollars, which is 643 million. A judgment on the lawsuit filed in the Supreme Court of Victoria in Melbourne last week shows. How could this have not worked? What went wrong? Mr. Coppola's wife that day had a healthy baby delivered by cesarean section. Mr. Coppola alleges that he was encouraged or permitted to observe the delivery, that in the course of doing so he saw his wife's internal organs and blood, and that the experience caused the onset of a psychotic illness. He says the hospital breached the duty of care it owed to him and is liable to pay him damages. The hospital admits that it owed to him a duty of care, but denied that it breached it and does not accept that he suffered any injury. In his amended statement of the claim on October 22nd, Mr. Coppola, who is self-represented, that sounds about right. That tracks. Assessed his damages for psychological injury at $1 billion. Isn't this so cringe? The human body is so cringe that C-sections are pretty common because we're not developed enough, we haven't evolved enough to make birthing efficient. So oftentimes they have to deliver the baby through the stomach. Evolution just is... It's got to catch up. We've got to redefine the meta. Birthing should be like the most efficient thing humans are good at. It's like the whole purpose of being an organism. To reproduce. I was just talking to my mom about that.
That is an interesting conversation to have with your mom, but yeah, it is a fascinating anomaly why we haven't evolved to be better at it. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, 32.1% of all baby deliveries in the U.S. in 2021 were cesarean section. Wow. Coppola filed the lawsuit several years after the operation, saying it caused the onset of a psychotic illness that led to a breakdown of his marriage. Yeah, that was the reason. The reason me and my wife broke up is because I had to watch her get a C-section, and I've never been the same. I couldn't look at her the same way. She grossed me out. It was so fucking yucky. I hated her for it. And I hated the hospital for making me see her like that. I've seen her inside and out. Yeah, stared into the abyss. Coppola chose to represent himself in court, where Justice James Gorton dismissed the suit and deemed the claim an abuse of process. I would agree with that. Did he give him like a big speech like, listen, goofball, this is ridiculous. Go home. Get out of my court. If men could birth, would you rather birth an NFL football out of your brown eye or a U.S. quarter out of your one eye? What a philosophical inquiry. I don't know. If I could, if I had to give birth right now and I got to choose, I'd probably try and do it like Majin Buu. So I'd like vomit up the creature. I'd really rather not tear my whole ass out or anything like that. That's Piccolo. No, Majin Buu did that too, right? When he vomited out into Super Buu? Or am I misremembering? The trial proceedings included a medical examination of Coppola, with the panel concluding the degree of psychiatric impairment did not satisfy the threshold level, according to the judgment. Lawsuits that are seeking damage for non-economic losses, such as this one, require that an injury is significant, the judgment said. With regards to the medical panel's conclusion, Coppola said he disagreed with it, though the judgment said he was unable to agitate the correctness of it. I can't believe he didn't get $1 billion out of this, because he watched his wife's C-section, and then they got a divorce 3 years later. I want to see if this was televised. I'd love to see how he defended himself. Unfortunately, no footage exists of how this panned out, but man, I would really like to hear some of his arguments. No, listen, Your Honor, you don't understand. A baby came out from her tummy. I can't sleep anymore. I can't even look at her anymore. It's why our marriage fell apart, damn it. It's the hospital's fault for letting me see such a thing. I also love the confidence and delusion to ask for $1 billion from this. Our marriage was so good, Your Honor, you don't understand. It was worth at least $1 billion in order to make up for all of this hardship. I can't believe this. How could they be so cruel to let me see my child being born? No, damn you. Now, obviously, I think this is one of those cases where someone knows that it's ridiculous, but they try anyway and hope to settle out of court. So they go for like this alarmingly huge number and then try and like negotiate behind closed doors to just squash it. But with something this outlandish, that was never even in the cards. This is such a bogus baloney claim that it never even made it anywhere and never stood a chance either. I think there is a 0% chance that this guy is permanently scarred for life after watching his wife give birth. Like, I understand C-sections are a little scary. Like, I know what they are. Now, granted, I've never seen one in person, so maybe it's different in the Thunderdome. Maybe I'd see it and also just have a full-blown breakdown, my universe crumbles around me, and it fucks me up for life. But even in that case, I still don't think I'd ever win a case for $1 billion because of that. I think that's a hard sell right there. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this one a little bit because this one had me giggling. This is probably this has to be among the largest asks for a lawsuit based on legitimately nothing. So yeah, just wanted to talk about this a bit. That's it. So yeah. Monster Energy files lawsuit against indie game over title. Monster Energy has filed a lawsuit against the indie game Dark Deception Monsters and Mortals. This time the company claimed the developer Glowstick Entertainment broke copyright with the horror game's title. So, no, wait. So if I go on Steam right now, I bet I have a game with monster in the title. Clash of Monsters, Garshasp. Well, they wouldn't fuck with Garshasp. He's way too powerful.
Monster Hunter, Monster Challenge. So are they trying to like own the word monster? Because this seems like such a weird topic or target. I don't know this game, but I can't imagine it's like super huge. Yeah, I just read that they did this to Ubisoft Gods and Monsters. And of course, Ubisoft being the cucks they are fucking bent the knee to it, I guess. Company has expanded its settlement terms by preventing Glowstick Entertainment from ever using green and white logo on a black background. What the fuck? Huh? How is their title confusingly similar to the energy drink in any way? What in tarnation? How? It's not like it's just called Monster. It is literally called Dark Deception, Monsters, and Mortals. So it's even plural, too. How is there any level of confusion? This is some awful, litigious bullying for no reason. How popular is this game? I'm unfamiliar with it. Is it a big game? Is that why they're doing it? There's 8 people playing this game right now with a 24-hour peak of 17 hours, and the all-time peak was 254. Why are you targeting them? Why? What the fuck? This doesn't make any sense. They actually went out of their way to find an obscure title to be an asshole to them. This game came out in 2020 as well. It's not even like it's a new thing. It looks like they're trying to set a legal precedent to sue bigger companies. Oh, interesting. That is very nefarious. I'm not knowledgeable enough on the law to know if that's like actually a plausible strategy, but they did successfully bully Ubisoft, which is... It's a lot bigger than Dark Deception, Monsters, and Mortals. So why would they then downsize? Own the right to the word monster. That fucking sucked for me because my Steam name is Monster. That'd be brutal for me. It's gotta be personal. Yeah, maybe someone on the Monster legal force played Dark Deception, Monsters, and Mortals and was like, damn, this is fucking awful. I'm gonna send them something. I'm gonna sue them. Imagine Rockstar doing that. Brother, we don't even have to imagine. Did you guys forget when Take-Two did that to It Takes Two? Take-Two owns Rockstar. So I guess it wasn't Rockstar themselves, it was Extension. Additionally, Livings posted an official document from Monster Energy to explain their lawsuit's terms. As seen in the image, Monster is pushing to prohibit the word monster in the game's name, claw-like designs, or green and black imagery. Glowstick Entertainment also won't be able to use the word beast or unleash. What is this? What has happened to us as a species? What the fuck? It is well known that Monster Energy is a notorious trademark troll. Unfortunately, they're at it again. For a company that likes to target their drinks at gamers, they also like to try and bully and bankrupt game studios with lengthy, high-dollar litigation. Monster was actually shoehorned into Death Stranding. I guarantee you, somewhere in that game, the words monster, beast, or unleashed was used. That'd be quite a beautiful plot twist if they sued that game after forcing their way in there to be ham-fisted into it. Oh, that's right, they did remove it, didn't they? That's right. Living's plans to fight Monster Energy in court. Dishonest companies like Monster Energy depend on doing their bullying in secret while presenting a clean image to their base, athletes and gamers, he said. Showing their true face publicly is the only real way to stop them. Bro, hats off to this guy. Like I said, I don't know the game. It's not a game I have ever heard of before, but I really hope this blows up their game. I hope they get tons of players and it turns out to be just like this hidden gem. This guy seems to have a good head on his shoulders. He gets it. Monster Energy's past legal battles include suing an Ohio restaurant for containing the word monster on its sign, a Georgia welder for using a similar M logo, and a man's aquarium hobby forum called Monster Fish Keepers. Yeah, this one makes sense. Shame on you. This would have confused me too. If I go to Monster Fish Keepers, I would be wondering, where can I purchase the energy drink? What's all this shit about crustaceans, right? Like, I'd be confused as fuck. That would be a legitimate cause for concern. Those are so close. It has the electrolytes the fish crave. They're gonna try to copyright the Monster Mash next. Thanks to the bits doobie. That's a great fucking idea, actually. Make MWL with Monster vs. Dasani. Not the Dasani part, but having a character in the MWL just named Monster and see if we can get our names in the headlines with Monster Energy suing us. That'd be huge for us. Spread the Moist Wrestling League a bit further. That's a great idea. By getting sued. Yeah, but they wouldn't win the lawsuit. There's no shot. Having a wrestler named Monster and then trying to make the argument that it's confusing for Monster Energy somehow. Like, this is just a frivolous dog shit nothingness. There's just... I can't imagine a world where they could actually win this if it ever makes it to trial. Because who the fuck is going to confuse a Steam game called Dark Deception Monsters and Mortals with Monster Energy? It's just to bully them and keep trying to monopolize the word monster, I guess. I mean, Apple tried to trademark the word apple and the court just said no. I'm sure it'll be a similar case here. Oh, I'm confident they win this. I mean, again, I can't imagine a world where Monster Energy somehow makes a compelling argument that this game is somehow confusing for their brand to their customers, unless Monster's going to have some kind of bombshell revelation during discovery where it's revealed that Monster Energy is actually shrinking everyone's IQ and turning everyone into fucking lobotomites where they can't process a difference between a video game and an energy drink. If they think their customers are so fucking stupid that they're gonna get confused here because they see the word monster and caveman brain activate, so they assume it's an energy drink. Like, I just can't imagine a world where they can make, like, a compelling argument. I wonder how they even found the game. The only way that I could envision the way they found this is that they were on Steam literally looking for anything with the word monster in it to be a target of a lawsuit. That's the only way they'd be able to find it. Because again, this game has only ever had 274 players at its peak. That is its biggest player count. It's not a massive game. But I hope it turns into one as a result of all of this. They went out of their way to find someone to sue. It's not the game, it's the font. You're putting words in their mouth, unless it's in this lawsuit. I didn't read the actual lawsuit, but even still, the font is still far removed, and it is still plural monsters, and doesn't match that closely. The only thing in common is that it's all squiggly and spooky, whereas this one, I just don't see it even being close. But that's also not even the argument they were making, I don't think. They were saying that it's confusing for their brand to the customers. Alright, let's read about this Casetify stuff. Dbrand is suing Casetify for ripping off its teardown designs. Dbrand claims it caught Casetify using its transparent style designs in its own line of device cases. Dbrand, the device skin company known for trolling brands like Sony and Nintendo, is waging a legal battle of its own. The company suing rival Casetify over claims it blatantly copied Dbrand's teardown device skins and cases, which are made to look like the internals of whatever phone, tablet, or laptop you've purchased from them. It's also introducing some new X-ray skins on the same day it's revealing the lawsuit. I'm not a huge phone case guy, so I don't know these names. Let me look up Dbrand real quick. Let me see their work. They must be pretty big, right? Dbrand's pretty massive, and I'm guessing Casetify is like the big boy. Showing the Dbrand Easter eggs Dbrand hid inside their design that was stolen by Casetify. Oh, so they planted little landmines, little gotchas in there. Ooh, that's very interesting then. So they caught him red-handed. It's on Dbrand's Twitter. Okay, let me pull that up then. Dbrand first revealed its teardown products in 2019 in partnership with Jerry Rig Everything, a YouTuber who breaks down new devices and sometimes even gives them transparent mods. The teardown skins and cases make it look as if you've taken your entire device apart and slapped on a transparent backing, when in reality, it's just a vinyl decal or a case you slot your phone into. It's a cool design. I think that's nice. Casetify allegedly took all of this work to use on its own phone cases. It all started when Casetify launched a similar line of phone cases called Inside Parts. Very uninspired.
Teardown is a much better name. That is lame as fuck. Inside parts? They spent 2 minutes on that. You could have come up with something so much cooler. Maybe like innards? Bowels is stupid. That's really dumb. But something better than inside parts, for sure. Big thanks to Displate for sponsoring today's video. Displate is one-of-a-kind metal posters that are designed to capture your unique passions. So you can see Matt fanning through a couple of them behind me. They look extraordinary. So they're durable, magnet-mounted, sturdy. They can withstand a lifetime of staring. They're super easy to set up and mount. And you can customize them, you can collect them, you can rearrange them however you want. They have over 1 million designs available for everyone, including official designs from brands like some of the ones you're seeing behind me. There's just so many options, and again, you can customize them as well, which is always a lot of fun too. So it's all high quality designs printed onto the metal and hand signed by their master of production. They're unique, easy, and safe, and it only takes about 20 seconds. There's no need to drill anything into your walls. All you need to do is wipe the wall with a cleaning wipe, and then stick the protective leaf, place the magnet, and then put the disc plate on the wall. It's super easy, super quick. So if you're interested in getting some high quality disc plates for your office or any room in your house or anything, you can click the link in the description below. There's right now a Black Friday deal going on, so you can get 35% off 1 to 2 disc plates, 39% off 3 to 4 disc plates, or 44% off 5 or more disc plates. You can click the link in the description below for that deal, or use code MOIST at Displate's website. Again, huge thanks for sponsoring. Which similarly puts an image of the components inside your phone on the outside. However, users noticed something wasn't quite right with the designs. In March, one user on X pointed out that Casetify appeared to be reusing the image of the same internals across different phone models, which means they didn't accurately represent the insides of each device they were sold for. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that probably just a coincidence. I'm sure that's easily explainable by Casetify. Piss puddlers unite. Find Jesus, my friend. What the fuck is a piss puddler? This looks pretty hard to fight. Like, how do you even argue against this? It's just a direct rip of it. Hear me out. Maybe one lazy dev and not the company's intent. Nah, what? No, what? Absolutely not. In a company the size of Casetify, at least giving it the old eyeball test, I'm not familiar with phone case brands, like I said, I'm just learning about them. Casetify seems huge. You can't just have one guy, like, brute force through a design. That has to go through 1,000 different pipelines. Dbrand called out Casetify's apparent gaffe in a video posted on Twitter, which shows how Casetify seems to have recycled the same design across Apple, Samsung, Google devices with a mocking caption reading, "Inside parts." Did they also do the SpongeBob picture with it? Like, bent over and all of that? Just months after Dbrand posted its response to Casetify, the company came back with a new line of transparent-style phone cases called Inside Out. This time, the images are consistent with the devices the cases are made for, and Dbrand claims that because Casetify stole its designs... Oh, and Dbrand claims that's because Casetify stole its designs. However, Dbrand alleges Casetify also attempted to conceal the copycats by rearranging parts of the design to make them look slightly different, which is what they just showed here, yeah. There's some pretty strong evidence backing up Dbrand's accusations. Dbrand spotted many Easter eggs it planted within its own designs on Casetify's inside-out products. That includes the RO807 tag, which alludes to Dbrand's tagline as a brand run by robots, as well as the jerry-rig-everything catchphrase, "Glass is glass and glass breaks." Oh, what the fuck? This is checkmate. This is like, this is over. This is a full-blown scholar's mate. There is absolutely no way of, like, disputing this anymore. It's just right there. There's even more. How many Easter eggs did they plant in here? Very cute. And it turned out to be a great decision. After scrutinizing the images of the cases on Casetify's website and even ordering some to confirm its suspicions, Dbrand discovered Casetify allegedly copied 117 different designs down to the many digital manipulations it made to the images. Dbrand says it holds registered copyrights for each of these products, all of which were registered before Casetify's launch. If Casetify had simply created their own teardown-esque design from scratch, we wouldn't have anything to take issue with, CEO Adam Iyajaz tells The Verge. We're under no illusion that Dbrand owns the idea of taking apart phones and scanning them. Jiminy Christmas. The fact of the matter is that they repurposed our existing designs for their products, then went to great lengths to conceal their illegitimate appropriation of our work. That's why instead of issuing a cease and desist order, Dbrand is hitting Casetify with a federal lawsuit in Canadian court, where the company is based, seeking 8 figures in damages. It hasn't given Casetify any warning either, so you can see the case in question right now from the company's website and draw your own conclusions. Is there any other conclusion to draw? I can't think of a single argument why they would have why they would have Easter eggs from Dbrand in their work, and it being the exact same design just flipped around. Is it possible to draw another conclusion? I'll rephrase. Brain rot on Twitter. Is there a such thing as a Casetify enthusiast that is so rotted and blinded that they're defending it? With like an actual argument, or no? So this is another one that Dbrand posted. Exhibit A, the phrase glass is glass and glass breaks. This is a catchphrase coined by Teardown co-creator Zach Jerry Rig. I'm assuming that's Jerry Rig everything. This tagline does not exist on the internal hardware of any smartphone, yet somehow appears on Casetify's product. They even have it lower resolution, so what must have happened is they just downloaded a JPEG of this and then like downloaded it 50 other times while like trying to fabricate it, and the compression just got fucked. So they got like the lowest quality JPEG of this that they put on their stuff. So there's another Easter egg that happens to be on their work. And another one, Exhibit B. Full montage here. The digits 1111, 1111, or the digits 111111, this is a reference to our founding date, November 11th, 2011. This date does not exist on the ribbon cable of any smartphone, yet somehow appears on Casetify's products. No, that could be explained easily. Binary, perhaps. This may not correlate to a date. This may just be binary code. I could see a perfectly sound argument for that. Exhibit C is the RO807, which we already looked at. Exhibit D. Man, they have so many. This has got to be the most dead-to-right case I've ever seen. Exhibit D. The all-seeing eye. This is a symbol we often use as evidenced by both the favicon of our website and the Dbrand Pyramid PC built by Linus Tech. This symbol is not present on the battery of any smartphone, yet somehow appears on Casetify's product. And again, it's like the lowest quality version of it. Literally looks like a 4-year-old scribbled it on. Where do they even... This one doesn't even look like they just downloaded it and fucked the compression over time. This one looks like they deliberately made it as hieroglyphic-esque as possible. But in that case, why even bother? You could have just not had it on there. They're literal screenshots. They even cropped some incorrectly. But how can you even get a screenshot to look this bad when you're transferring it onto the product? You'd have to really try to make it look this atrocious. Exhibit E. 1111 watt-hours. The 1111 watt-hours, this, again, a reference to our founding date. This erroneous watt-hour metric is not on the battery of any smartphone, yet somehow appears on Casetify's product. I mean, you can't even defend it. They took photos of their monitor. Oh, wait, you might be right. That would explain this one. This one does actually look like they took a photo of their monitor while it's all glossy and shit, so you can't make it out super well. That would explain how they got this. Wonder why they would steal it? I think the reason would be obvious. It's a successful phone case, it seems. So they just capitalize off it, and then instead of doing any kind of R&D work to make like a comparable teardown, they just copy it. It feels like it'd take the same amount of effort. I don't know, man. I don't know what goes into like actual phone case making stuff. But this is like an almost $1 billion company, I think, Casetify, right? Surely this didn't save them too much on the bottom line. Let me see. Oh, $300 million in revenue last year for Casetify. Massive company. Absolutely massive. They probably didn't know it was patented. Brother, even if it wasn't patented, you still can't just blatantly rip off another company's design. That's like the biggest no-no ever. Like, you can't just infringe on shit like that. You can't patent an image. He meant copyright. I know what he meant. Did you ever stop to think that maybe they just made an oopsie? 117 oopsies from the sound of it. So, they might just be real quirky. Very clumsy. On their video, they said they spent around 10,000 hours making the cases. If you watch the videos, you can see a time lapse of them dotting the cases. In the Jerry Rig Everything video? Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. Like I said, I don't know what all goes into case making, but I can't imagine like it's a super easy process. D-Brand and Jerry Rig Everything aren't the only people they stole designs from. There are already others coming out with their own cases. Look at Jerry's Twitter. Oh yeah, I can't imagine this is their first and only time. They just happen to fly a little too close to the sun with the blatant theft, and now they're getting caught. Yeah, I have no doubt they probably stole tons and tons of designs. Doesn't matter if you've been living under a rock, I'm sure even Patrick Starr's gotten this news by now. PayPal Honey, a wildly successful browser extension used by millions, turned out to be a big scam, allegedly. Except it's not alleged, it is factually a scam, in my opinion. I think Honey is more of a scam than the shake weight. This shit is foul. And thanks to a multi-year investigation conducted by a YouTuber named Megalag, it has blown the lid wide open on this operation from Honey. And just like my bubble guts after I make the mistake of eating a hot dog at a hockey game, it's bad. So bad, in fact, that it has now led to a class action lawsuit being filed against Honey. Another YouTuber named Legal Eagle just posted this video announcing this class action lawsuit they're filing against them. Now, when you hear the term YouTuber, most of you picture a bumbling imbecile like me. But contrary to popular belief, not every content creator is overdosing on stupid juice. Legal Eagle is a real attorney, not some phony baloney, horse hockey, a title he gave himself from Roblox or anything. And he made this video going over the motivation behind this class action lawsuit, believing that PayPal Honey has caused substantial financial damages to a substantial number of people. Now, this isn't his first rodeo announcing a lawsuit. I believe he's made 2 other videos talking about something that he's suing. This one obviously comes pretty early into the investigation that Megalag has conducted. Keep in mind, that was part 1 of a 3-part series that Megalag is releasing on his multi-year investigation of Honey. And part 1 already had enough foul play to lead to a class action lawsuit. I don't even know how much worse it could get with this rabbit hole. Like, part 2 might just prove PayPal Honey was trying to cast the infinite Tsukiyomi and trap everyone on Earth into a Genjutsu where we just keep fucking giving them affiliate commissions or something. Like, I do not know what else could possibly come out from Honey. Lord help us, part 3 from the investigation might just conclude and prove that PayPal Honey was trying to quantumly inject microchips into our brains or something. It really is, like, it's fascinating just how bad this company is. That one part of a 3-part investigation was enough to lead to a class action lawsuit against them. And it's not a frivolous lawsuit either. There's not really any question of whether or not Honey was engaging in taking affiliate commissions. They openly confirmed with Megalag that, like, they acknowledge that, yes, we will sometimes be the last click and get that affiliate commission. They openly say that. So that's not even what's called into question. It's more so now, is it fully illegal? And in my moron eyes, like my idiot vision, I think it has to be, right? Like, I talked about it a bit on stream last night. I'll show you some clips there. But I think it is the textbook definition of cookie stuffing, which does have a legal precedent set that it's wire fraud. Now, I think there's been a little confusion on exactly how big of a scam this is, so I'm going to try and break it down into even simpler terms. A lot of people are under the impression that the only people affected are those that promoted Honey. Like, who cares about influencers that lost money, through commissions and stuff? That's not the actual scope of it. Even setting aside the blatant false advertising where Honey claims it gets you the best coupons available, which is proven to be untrue. In fact, they hide the best coupons from you because they work with the companies directly to give you what coupons they want you to have access to. So they'll give you like a 5% coupon even though you could find a 20% one on your own. Honey tells you that doesn't exist, there's only this 5%. Setting that aside, which directly hurts the people that use Honey, setting that aside, the affiliate theft, what I believe to be cookie stuffing, it comes from people no matter what their familiarity is with Honey. So let's say your grandmother, this is the example I've been giving on stream to try and help explain it. Let's say your grandmother on Facebook, she has an affiliate link to baking supplies, Tupperware. She has an affiliate link for Tupperware.
and she shares that on her Facebook page, and you, being the good grandson you are, want to support her and give her a little commission, and you could use the Tupperware. So you click her affiliate link, you go to the Tupperware, as you're checking out, Honey pops up and says, do you want to check for coupons? And you click, sure, I might as well. So you click that, it finds no coupons, you close it, and then you finish your checkout. Well, what happened is, when you click that from Honey, Honey took the affiliate commission. So your grandmother got nothing, and she'll never even know you clicked that affiliate link. Honey got the whole thing. Because Honey is a brand partner of that Tupperware, not the grandmother with the affiliate link. Thus, when Honey poached the affiliate commission, they got all of the money, not your grandmother, even though it was your grandmother's link that brought the sale to the Tupperware. But that company will never know that it was the grandmother's link that did it. They will just see that it was Honey that got the last click. Thus, they have to pay out the commission to Honey. That's what's going on. Your grandmother had never heard of Honey. She never promoted Honey, but you had it because maybe your favorite YouTuber talked about it, or maybe you just happened to see all the advertisements elsewhere for it. That's the actual spaghetti and meatballs of it. It's not just people that promoted the Honey, you know, getting butt fucked or anything. It's anyone that has Honey and then tries to click an affiliate link. Honey will take it, even if that affiliate link came from someone that knows nothing about Honey. And another good thing that was pointed out in Megalag's video, even when Honey provides no value at all, where you're in checkout and Honey says, hey, just popping up to let you know, didn't find anything. Like, even if you don't click anything, it just pops up and says, hey, I'm here, I got nothing for you, and you click, you know, to exit out, you click got it to get rid of it. You clicking got it, even though it came up and said, hey, we didn't find anything, we're not even trying to find it, there's nothing here for us, even though it did actually nothing, you just clicking got it will take the affiliate commission. And the person who had the affiliate link will never know that that even happened. Another big question is, well, how did people not know they were missing out on money? How did they not know they weren't getting paid? That's how, because you never even knew it was happening, because someone just having Honey took the whole commission, so you never saw any of it. I think for a lot of people there was a misunderstanding that people were getting paid by Honey, and they didn't understand how people didn't recognize they were just missing payments from Honey. Like, how could you possibly ignore that? No, that's not the case. Anyone that had Honey installed and engaged in clicking an affiliate link, that commission never made it to whoever the affiliate was. Honey would take it. So the actual affiliate would never even know that it happened, which is why it was impossible to ever even find out. That's what made it so slippery and so sneaky. And that's also why it's nearly impossible to know just how much money was lost this way, and why it's likely into the deep millions upon millions of dollars. Which is why I think this class action lawsuit could be huge. Of course, I'm not a lawyer, I didn't pass the bar, I don't know for sure, but it seems like there is so much money that was likely lost from this because of PayPal Honey stealing the affiliate commissions. Now, the next question a lot of people ask is, did PayPal know? PayPal purchased Honey for $4 billion. You bet your sweet bippy they knew. I've been flip-flopping on this back and forth, but for a $4 billion purchase, I think they would have audited the shit out of that company. I think they would have absolutely known that this was like their bread and butter. Because how else are they making money? Like, really, how else are they making money when you really stop to think about it? Markiplier pinned the tail on the donkey. His gut was absolutely right. Like, PayPal would have had to have known that when they purchased this company. I think it's now just a matter of, did PayPal know that it might be illegal? Did they knowingly spend $4 billion on illegal business practices, which would be mind-boggling if that is the case? Like, the answer is yes to that question. So I'm very interested to see where this class action goes. But anyway, I want to show you some of the clips from the stream because we dove into their terms of service. Honey actually is so fucking scummy that they snuck some shit into their terms of service, which of course nobody's reading. Everyone knows no one reads the terms of service. Even the law knows no one is actually sitting through and reading through every single fucking term of service for the things they sign up for. But Honey knew that and snuck some shit in there to try and cover their own ass. Like I said after the initial part 1 of the investigation, this is going to be a huge class action. There is unironically millions of dollars that were probably lost along the way for a lot of different people. So I'm very curious to see just how big it gets. I think it's almost billions of dollars lost. I've got to stop the music for that. Okay, it's going to be a lot of money, but billions? Is Honey even worth billions? PayPal paid $4 billion for it. I got to stop the music for this.
Did you know Honey's terms of service make it so you can't sue them with a class action? I'm going to look that up myself right now. I don't believe you. But no one ever reads the terms of service. But I imagine Legal Eagle would have before the class action. Let's see. Let's look at the Join Honey terms of use. Though I don't think you... Let's just assume it's there for a second. Does that protect you? Would that even actually protect you? I don't think so. Wasn't there a ruling not too long ago that said, like, no one reads the terms of service, so you really can't put in legally binding shit like that? I vaguely recall that being a actual court ruling. This agreement contains 1. An arbitration provision, 2. A waiver of rights to bring a class action lawsuit against us, and 3. A release by you of claims for damage against us that may arise out of your use of the service to the greatest extent permitted by applicable law. By using the service, you agree to these provisions. Their lawyers are good. They've got the Sharingan out. How could they have seen a potential class action coming? They stopped us before we even started. I wonder how far by applicable law goes. There's no way that's going to actually protect them. You can't just say, like, you can't sue us and then do blatantly illegal shit. That's not how that works. Arbitration clause and class action waiver. Important. Please review as this affects your legal rights. In caps lock. Oh man, yeah, this seems like panic. Arbitration. You agree that all disputes between you and us, whether or not such dispute involves a third party with regard to your relationship with us, including without limitation dispute related to this agreement, your use of the service and or rights of privacy and or publicity, will be resolved by binding individual arbitration under the American Arbitration Association's rules for arbitration of consumer-related disputes, and you and we hereby expressly waive trial by jury. Why would you want that? I'm sure the jury would side with you guys. I don't know why it's screaming at me, though. Oh, wait. Here comes a threat of their own. Provided, however, that to the extent that you may have... Provided, however, that to the extent that you have in any manner violated or threatened to violate our intellectual property rights, we may seek injunctive or other appropriate relief in any state or federal court in the state of California. Discovery and rights to appeal and arbitration are generally more limited than in a lawsuit, and other rights that you and we would have in court may not be available in arbitration. Now they're tossing their big meat around. That's interesting. I've heard that too. Someone in Legal Eagle's comments brought up that what Honey did could be considered cookie stuffing, which is a form of wire fraud, and that there's legal precedent for it. I've heard that a couple times. I might as well look at it before hopping onto Rivals to start my Grandmaster climb. So cookie stuffing is legitimately a real term, and it is a real thing that they have cracked down on. Deceptive tactic in affiliate marketing. It is considered fraudulent. But what is the legal precedent? Because I think it is the textbook definition of cookie stuffing what Honey was doing. So it's been considered a form of wire fraud, and in 2006, eBay collaborated with the Federal Bureau of Investigation in a sting operation targeting top affiliate marketers. So it looks like in 2006 there was like a big case with it. Sean Hogan, eBay's largest affiliate marketer, was found to have engaged in cookie stuffing. His strategy involved modifying his website to load resources from eBay servers, thereby setting affiliate cookies on users' browsers. The technique falsely attributed subsequent eBay purchases to Hogan's site. Despite Hogan making over $28 million through eBay's affiliate commissions, it was determined that Hogan's activities did not contribute any substantial revenue to eBay. In the subsequent legal proceedings, Hogan pleaded guilty to a single wire fraud charge, leading to a 5-month federal prison sentence and a $25,000 fine. Okay, he got off pretty easy. There's another case as well. Also, eBay affiliate marketing, Brian Dunning. Similar tactics with cookie stuffing during 2006 to 2007. So there is a legal precedent set. They don't like it, but it's not harshly punished either. How interesting. Like I said, this should be a slam dunk case. I really think it should be pretty open and shut. They have a ton of money though, so it'll probably get hairy. You should go to law school, you'd be good at it. Brother, I'm a fucking moron. Why would you think I'd be good at that? Yeah, Roblox, the multi-billion-dollar company, is suing a YouTuber for $1.6 million. When I first read that headline, I thought to myself, Jesus Christ, they finally went after Jim Wool, the elusive boogeyman of Roblox. But it turns out it has nothing to do with Jim Wool or his evil crime syndicate. This is an absolutely wild story that I just wanted to talk about today. I'm sure all of you have heard of Roblox before, and if you're a parent, then you're probably already having a PTSD episode right now with all the money your kids have stolen from you just to buy Robux with it behind your back. It's a game that is arguably the most popular and most profitable game in the world. And a couple days ago, it was announced that they were suing a YouTuber named Ruben0, a Roblox YouTuber who has 700,000 subscribers. And the lawsuit has some crazy allegations against him. It looks like we might have to add another name to the Roblox wiki list of the most controversial Roblox players of all time. They have this cool wall of shame where they immortalize all the worst players they've ever experienced. So it's kind of like the FBI's most wanted list, and you've got some real bad actors in here, some fucking DC supervillains like Sonic the Hedgehog XX. They even have an adorable mugshot of the criminal here and a little explanation for how they ended up in the Roblox slammer. And so far the charges in most of these seem pretty trivial in comparison to what Ruben0 is accused of. Like, a lot of these are just like, Sonic the Hedgehog, for example, is accused of copying Weirdo King's game, and that's why he's on the controversial list. But Ruben0 in the lawsuit here, he is accused of a lot of like really awful shit. So now let's really spread these ass cheeks and dive into the meat here. So Ruben0 is being sued for $1.65 million in damages, and they say that he violated their user contract and anti-hacking laws. Now I'd like to clarify a little bit further on this. The way they say he hacked Roblox and violated their terms were he would circumvent being banned by making other accounts or using a VPN to make other accounts in order to continue to play Roblox. And they're calling it hacking in the lawsuit, I think. That's kind of the impression I got. I wouldn't necessarily say that's the traditional definition of hacking, but it is a violation of their user agreement. It just gets a little muddled when they say, like, you know, the anonymous hacker 4chan recently circumvented Roblox's anti-hacking rules by using a VPN and making another account XX Pussy Slang Sonic Hedgehog. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say that's hacking, but yeah, it is a violation of the user contract. It goes on to say that Ruben0 is the leader of a cyber mob that with malice, fraud, and oppression commits and encourages unlawful acts designed to injure Roblox and its users. Another article expands on that a bit by saying Ruben0 actually had a history of that kind of behavior where he would get his followers to go into the game and sexually harass its user base as well as use racist and homophobic slurs. I guess as a means of like epic trolling Roblox or some shit, I'm not really sure. Obviously I'm not fucking Saul Goodman here. I don't know what's true and what's not with these allegations or what Ruben0 has actually done. I'm unfamiliar with his work, so I don't know any of these things. But I'm assuming they must have some kind of evidence to be tossing around these really huge allegations. And then it goes into what I consider the most weird part of the lawsuit, if these are true. Roblox said it banned Simon for attempting to upload a near-nude photo of himself, images of Adolf Hitler, and a sex game that's forbidden on the kid-focused platform. And then it again talks about his harassment of other users there. I'm sure all of you know this, but Roblox is a game that's mainly played by children, like actual toddlers that are still suckling on their mama's titty milk and watching finger family videos on YouTube. So if that's true, and Ruben0 tried to upload a near-nude photo of himself to that game, that's so fucked up. That's like walking into an elementary school and whipping your cock out and then claiming that it was just a joke. I have no fucking clue what the point of any of that would be. That's not even like a trolling attempt. That's a speedrun attempt at jail time. If he wanted to go to prison that badly, he could have just gone to the station and just asked for it. Uploading a sex game to a kid's platform and an almost naked photo of yourself to a platform that's almost exclusively used by kids? What the fuck are you thinking? If that's all true, that's the dumbest shit I think I've ever read. Now again, I'm not Santa Claus. I don't know who's naughty and nice. I don't know what's real and what's not about this with the allegations. In response to this lawsuit coming to light, Ruben Sim has deleted every single one of his tweets except for a single one, which is just a GIF. He did have a tweet before deleting them that he left up shortly where he said he wasn't going to be talking about the case because he wanted to make it as easy as possible on his legal team to handle it, and he thought by talking about it, it would make their job harder. And I think that was a very smart play by him, but by deleting every tweet, it hides everything that they like reference in the lawsuit, as well as just a couple other things. It just gets rid of any and all evidence they try and point to in the public eye. Obviously, Roblox being a multi-billion-dollar company has likely already subpoenaed for that information, so they still have it, but from like a spectator sport here, there's no way of going and looking at anything that they're referencing here and seeing if it's accurate, exaggerated, or just outright false. Though I would be absolutely shocked if Roblox was just faking this whole thing just because they didn't like his content. Apparently, Ruben Sim had a history of also like criticizing Roblox as a platform. I'm not familiar with Roblox, its controversies, things it does right or wrong. I don't know like any of that shit, but apparently Ruben Sim also like brought to light some bad shit in the community that also painted Roblox Corp in a bad light. So some people think that this might be their way of getting revenge against him. I don't know if a multi-billion-dollar company is going to be that petty about things, but let's continue with the lawsuit here. They go a little deeper on what they mean by hacking, where he was using fake accounts and evading bans, and then it talks about what is the most recent thing that prompted this lawsuit. The worst damage allegedly came during the Roblox Developers Conference in October of 2021. In the lead up to the conference, the suit says Simon engaged his followers on Discord, glamorizing the April 3rd, 2018 active shooter and murder at YouTube headquarters in California, and threatening/taunting a copycat act of terrorism at Roblox headquarters, telling his followers to wait until someone does it to Roblox. Then, during the conference, he tweeted that local police were searching for a fictitious, notorious Islamic extremist, and that the extremist had posted a video titled, "Someone blow up Roblox now." Meanwhile, his followers allegedly posted false active shooting threats and claimed to have poisoned the conference drinks. The event was delayed and forced into a temporary lockdown while local police and private security conducted a search to secure the facility, according to the lawsuit. Roblox said it cost $50,000 to investigate and secure RDC after the incident. Simon has since deleted many of his tweets. Obviously, this is the catalyst here. This is what actually prompted Roblox to take legal action against Ruben Sim. It was this instance, and everything else was put in here to kind of show Simon's character as a way of like showing that he's a bad actor in the Roblox community, I guess. So all of it was just lumped in here after this event to just give a whole picture of the situation, I guess, that Roblox is trying to deal with. Again, with all of his tweets deleted, and I couldn't even find them on archive.org, there's no way for me to look at that and be like, oh, okay, so he actually did those things. I have no way of knowing. Only Roblox and anyone that's familiar with Ruben will know if these claims are accurate or not. If they are, then obviously something was going to come from this. I truly don't know how anyone can think that you can call in a fake terrorist threat and do it publicly on Twitter without any kind of repercussions. I've seen a couple of people on Twitter that have to be addicted to whippets and heroin because they are super dumb. They were arguing that Roblox is too big and thus shouldn't care about one troll calling in a terrorist attack on their developer conference meeting. So I guess that might have been the thought process here, assuming this is all real, that maybe he thought that since they're worth so much money, they're not going to care about him doing this. But I mean, that's super fucking stupid. You should be far more afraid of a multi-billion-dollar company that easily could throw a couple $1 million to lock your ass up for this kind of shit. Because it's a crime. Like, it's a genuine crime to call in a fake terrorist attack like this. I don't know what you could possibly expect. They're not just going to roll over and get used like a fleshlight. They were obviously going to retaliate. You shut down a conference with a terrorist threat. So yeah, just overall an extremely crazy story all around. That's a lot of money. And that's going to be a lot of money to fight the lawsuit. For Roblox, this is nothing. They make millions of dollars every couple of minutes. So they'll probably toss as much money as they need to at this and never feel it. But for Ruben Sim, this is a life-changing lawsuit here. I don't know if all of the claims in here are factual or anything. That all has to be proven in court. But my God, what a fucking wild situation here. That's about it. See ya. I find it disgusting that more people aren't aware of this lawsuit that's going on right now. So I'm going to do you all a favor and take you by the hand and show you the light. You know, I'm no hero, okay? But please pat me on the back for the bravery anyway. Right now, there is a $3 billion lawsuit going on that names some of the biggest celebrities in the world. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Michael Jordan, and even Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit, many of you probably raised an eyebrow to because he's been dead for well over 10 years now, and he has just been named in a $3 billion lawsuit for conspiracy to kidnap a woman and her children. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the story of Chris Benoit. He was a damn near household name in the wrestling scene, and he ended up killing his family and killing himself. It's a horrific, tragic story, and he's been dead for a long time now. He has been decaying in the ground for a while. And the children here that are talked about in the lawsuit, from everything I've read, were not alive when Chris Benoit still inhabited this corporeal dimension. Which would mean that post-mortem, from beyond the grave, Chris Benoit's spirit would have had to been conspiring with this massive Illuminati network here to commit this kidnapping crime. Which is a bold claim. This is a lawsuit that comes from a former wrestler named Raka Khan, who alleges that there was this massive conspiracy to kidnap her and her children, and she is seeking $3 billion and named not only a ton of celebrities like individuals and pretty much every wrestler that has ever breathed over the last 100 years. I wouldn't be surprised to find Andre the Giant buried somewhere in the list of culprits, but she is also naming entire companies like Home Depot. I shit you not. Home Depot is listed as part of this conspiracy to kidnap her and her children. It is outrageous. Now, of course, I don't want to rule out the possibility that Home Depot has a seat at the New World Order, and the first order of business was to kidnap her and her children, but with the amount of people and companies listed here, it seems unrealistic, because like I said, it wasn't just Home Depot either. Bank of America was listed, the FBI, the entire FBI. There's all these companies apparently had skin in the game, and they're all listed now in this $3 billion lawsuit. Honestly, by the end of reading this list, I was half expecting to see my favorite breakfast restaurant listed here, which is just a mom and pop local restaurant. And I thought, you know what, everyone's guilty out here. But yeah, it's pretty outrageous, and I've done a bit of research now on Raka Khan, and she's unfortunately had a lot of bad things happen to her post-wrestling career, as well as even during her wrestling career. For example, she dated Kurt Angle for a while, and there was 2009 incident where like abuse was alleged, but then it was later kind of dropped. But it was very messy, very muddy and fishy, but overall a lot has happened to her throughout her life. And in 2019, she even landed herself on the most wanted list for El Paso. It's a really wild web, and the lawsuit is pretty concerning, honestly. I went over it all on stream, so I'll just play those clips for you to give you a deeper insight into all of it. Yeah, I'll look up the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson lawsuit. Here. Someone mentioned that earlier, I forgot to look it up. It was apparently named in a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit from a former WWE wrestler. Holy shit, it's a kidnapping lawsuit. Oh, that's right, live action Moana. Maybe he's being sued because of how horrible that fucking idea is. They're kidnapping the audience's patience. The FBI is named in the lawsuit. Wow, that's awfully ambitious. Her complaint, most of which is made up of those being sued, alleges that those named worked together in a conspiracy to kidnap her and her children. Some other names in the lawsuit are the State of Texas, the El Paso Child Protective Services, the Las Cruces, New Mexico Police Department, the NYPD, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, New York ACS, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Shirley Police Department, Sigma Phi Epsilon, Suffolk County, New York, the Bank of America, Home Depot, and even the... Who are her children? What? Why would all of these people work together to kidnap her children? Are they like Super Saiyans? Fuck, Jesus Christ. Home Depot of all things. How did they get tossed into the mega mix? The kidnapping aisle? What happened? Apparently it's proceeded in court. That's what it said at the start. It's making waves in court. Or, making progress in court.
still has a bench warrant out for her after not appearing at a criminal trial in December 2022 in Texas, where she was to face charges of interference with child custody and aggravated kidnapping facilitate. Aggravated kidnapping facilitate. Why does that sound so grammatically incorrect? She paid the court fees, which allowed the case to move forward, but no one's been served yet. And she is currently on their wanted list. And back in 2019 was placed as the most wanted fugitive list for child custody charges by El Paso. So this sounds like very serious mental illness here. What the fuck? Oh my god, Michael Jordan's named in it too. How deep does the web go? Or how deep does the rabbit hole go? If I'm reading this right, The Rock, The Miz, Chris Benoit, Mick Foley, and others conspired to kidnap Raka Khan and her children. Chris Benoit has been dead for fucking 2 decades almost. So the ghost of Chris Benoit conspired to steal her and her children? When did she allege that this happened, this conspiracy? This is so wacky. Holy fuck. Home Depot trying to be the next Wayfair. Yeah, I guess so. This is the next storyline for the WWE. Oh man, fuck, if only the MWL could get in on this action. We'd use this lawsuit for one of our storylines in a heartbeat. This would be huge for us. But I mean, yeah, this is fucking serious delusion. Especially because she's paying a ton of money for this, clearly. She paid all of the fees in order to push this through the court system, apparently. Alright, that's a big chunk of change right down the shitter. Oh, wait, you're right. Wait, Billy Corgan is also named in here. Did she just start naming everyone in the wrestling industry from, like, all promos everywhere? Am I in here? Is the MWL named in this? Fucking Dow Jones listed on this, lawsuit? I can't find the lawsuit, but we got some super sleuths on Twitter that were immediately able to point out some, some very shady business of this lawsuit, which is shocking. I mean, everything here seems watertight and sane, but they noticed that her child, that I assume she is referring to a potential kidnapping victim of this massive Illuminati conspiracy kidnapping case, was 4 years old in 2019. So that would mean Chris Benoit had already been dead and buried and literally a fucking skeleton in a coffin at this point. So when she was placed on the most wanted fugitives list, her child was 4, and that was in 2019. So Chris Benoit, he must have been like haunting the family, plotting this one. You're forgetting about potential time traveling shenanigans. I didn't even stop to consider time dilation. You're not wrong. How much is she asking for in damages? $3 billion. Yeah, you must have missed the most important part. Thanks to some Nigel. You think they'll settle? Brother, if a single person listed in this lawsuit even gives this a moment of thought, I would be shocked. No, they're not going to settle for anything. Though, if they want to, they can do it in the squared circle of the Moist Wrestling League. We'll have ourselves our first lawsuit match. We should start suing people like this as a form of networking. Not wrong, Aaron. This actually might be the play. How's Michael Jordan involved if it's all wrestlers? Because it's not all wrestlers. Brother, the FBI and Home Depot are listed here, and Bank of America. It's just she also listed every wrestler ever as well. Legal Eagle on YouTube says she has a legit lawsuit. I already know, I'm just being lied to. Legal Eagle did not just cover this lawsuit. There is a 0% chance. But I'll look it up anyway. I don't know why I'm doing this. Hey! Shocking. Nothing from Legal Eagle here. What the fuck did I just read here? Home Depot was an amazing street fight wrestler. His Fampus top rope 2x4 smash. What the fuck? I feel like I know what you were going for, but everything went wrong in the sentence and made it much better. I don't know what a Fampus is, but fuck yeah. Won't this mess up The Rock's work with Disney? No, man. I don't think it will. I mean, hey, I'd actually love to be wrong about that. A live-action Moana is criminal. The movie's not even 10 years old. So if it does impede on that, then this lawsuit was worth it. But there's a 0% chance. You heard about the guy suing Dunkin' Donuts because their toilet exploded while he was shitting on it? Yeah, there's no video or anything. I also just feel like he's lying. He probably pooped himself and came up with a convenient excuse and then overflowed the toilet is my guess. But here, I'll pull it up, since a lot of people keep asking about it. That's my theory, at least. Last I saw, there was no actual evidence of a toilet explosion. Florida man is seeking $50K in damages after he said a toilet at Dunkin' exploded and covered him in debris, feces, and urine. He alleges he visited the men's room at Winter Park Dunkin' outside of Orlando on January 6, 2022. The commode erupted, leaving the plaintiff in the loo covered in its contents. That's a really sophisticated way of describing a toilet blowing up. After the incident, the plaintiff said he sought help from employees who told him they were aware of the issues as prior incidents had occurred. How often is this toilet exploding? It's like an active volcano? You can't even just maybe put a sign up saying out of service? He's seeking $50K in damages from HZO Donuts, operating as Dunkin' location, formerly known as Dunkin' Donuts, on account of their alleged negligence, according to the lawsuit filed by the attorney. As a direct result of the defendant's breach and/or multiple breaches of its duties and obligations to the plaintiff, who was lawfully on defendant's premises, plaintiff unwittingly became the victim of the exploding toilet in the aftermath, which followed and sustained damages, including injuries, emotional, and mental distress. There'd have to be pictures, right? Prior incidents. I mean, that was surprising to hear, but again, I don't think it's actually an exploding toilet. Like, I don't think the porcelain, you know, exploded like a fragmentation grenade going off. Like, it didn't just have this... I don't think it was like a halo explosion when you throw a frag, is what I'm saying. Like, it maybe, like, some water bubbled over and maybe covered his butt a bit, is my guess. Because I just can't imagine, like, all of a sudden it would be like a bomb. I'm gonna see if there's any photos of it. Even in the initial lawsuit, the lawsuit's all public right here. Even in the lawsuit, there's no Exhibit A or anything. Like, surely you'd take a picture. Or, even better, there'd be CCTV footage from the cameras in Dunkin'. So we could see him covered in poop. But maybe he put in a junction to bar that from the evidence because it's embarrassing, perhaps. But if it really did explode, then may God have mercy. Hope he wins. He claims he suffered bodily injury. Well, he could have. Having a bunch of strangers' waste cover you could make you sick. Or if, like, the debris he's referring to is parts of the toilet hitting you, that could hurt. Maybe bruise you. Apparently in the lawsuit, he said the incident made him experience a loss of capacity for the enjoyment of life. Okay, I've got to pull up the lawsuit myself here, because it's all public. Let's see. That is I mean, if you get covered in a Dunkin' Donuts exploded toilet, maybe you would lose all enjoyment in life. Let's see where it would be. Plaintiff requires mental health care and counseling as a direct result of the trauma experienced in the restroom at defendant's business and from the continuing trauma following the event. Oh. As a direct and proximate result of the negligence of defendant, plaintiff suffered bodily injury and psychological damages resulting in pain and suffering, disability, permanent and significant emotional injury, mental anguish, loss of the capacity for the enjoyment of life, expense of medical care and treatment. The injuries and damages are either permanent or continuing in nature, and plaintiff will suffer losses in the future. Man, with a statement like that, why are you suing for only $50K? Go for fucking $50 million. The loss of the enjoyment of life. Maybe the ceramic shattered into his sensitive areas. Well, that's what I was saying. If pieces of... There's no pictures of the toilet explosion, but the way they describe it actually makes it sound like a missile. So if there were parts of the toilet that started blasting him, then yeah, I guess that could cause, like, disability or permanent injury.
No, this isn't the Epstein stuff. This is a poopy toilet explosion stuff. Bro's gonna be having nightmares specifically about the Dunkin' Donuts toilet. According to the lawsuit, he's having a lot more than just nightmares. I really wish there was footage, well, not footage, a picture of the aftermath. I want to know what a toilet explosion looks like at Dunkin' Donuts here. Like, that can't be common. Oh, here's the exploding toilet meme. I guess it could be like this. But I think this was planned, right? It didn't just happen. Like, they put firecrackers or something in it, if I remember correctly. So I don't think the Dunkin' employees pranked him.
A certain brand of toilet has been exploding, and it's no laughing matter.
You don't think about your children dying in the bathroom.
Find out if you're sitting on a time bomb, tonight at 10.
Whoa. I did not expect that. That was hard-hitting journalism right there. That got me hooked. This was 7 years ago. Did we survive? Did we make it out? Is the toilet defeated? Or is it still in circulation? How often do toilets explode spontaneously?
Ow. There's one there. You see, it blew it completely off, and you see all the shrapnel, the sharp pieces of porcelain.
Pictures, reports, even you.
So this is like the tank, though. It's not the whole toilet itself.
After my son went to the restroom and
because my children sat on that toilet.
Flushmate manufactures the pressure vessel designed to flush so powerfully you don't have to flush twice. But the company recalled nearly.
That's a really cool statement. I feel like most toilets are designed to flush so you don't have to flush more than once. I don't think that's specific to just this brand. If you're flushing twice, then you had a big moment in there. You had a lot of business to take care of. I don't think that's super unique. Usually it doesn't try and get everything in waves. It's usually all at once.
3 million of the devices after getting reports of.
You'll never have to flush again in your life.
And 14
True.
injuries. People cause it to burst. But with a leak like this, he says it could have exploded in a public place with stronger water pressure.
Case in point, perhaps Paul, the Dunkin' Donuts poo-poo toilet exploding victim, was a victim of one of these. Maybe they had one of these toilets in the facility and that's what blew up. So maybe he wasn't like a geyser of feces and urine. Maybe he had just shit. This blew up, he panicked, and then, like, all these pieces start hitting the water and splashing poop and urine on him. Perhaps.
And I'm going to post the affected serial numbers on our website.
Maybe this just saves some people in chat's life. If you have one of these toilets, or maybe you should check if you have one of these toilets just in case. Imagine. There's one guy in chat right now profusely sweating. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Wait, I have one of those. I don't have a low-flow device. I don't have a low-flow toilet. Oh, God. It's sprinting to the bathroom, but he doesn't get there in time, and it just blows up. He's sent back from the shockwave. You can get $18 million, though. Oh, from the class action. So, I mean, I guess maybe this is plausible for what happened to Paul here. But I don't think it would cover you in the contents of it. Not based on those explosions, since it was in, like, the tank. Either way, interesting case. Good luck, Paul. I hope you win. I don't think that's what happened because employees said it happened to other customers before. Oh, good point. Yeah, that theory wouldn't work because apparently the employees said that other customers had experienced something similar. Like it wasn't the first time. You're right. Why didn't the other customers sue? Probably too tired. Maybe first thing in the morning. They went to Dunkin', got covered in poop, and they're like, whatever. I'm going home. I have no idea. I don't know how this happens more than once. There's another Florida toilet explosion from 2019 after a woman's toilet blew up after lightning struck her septic after lightning struck her septic tank, sparking the methane gas inside and blowing the toilet up into pieces. That is a sign
That is absolutely some kind of divine moment, a smiting, if you will.
Got hit by lightning, causing a toilet to explode over the weekend. Experts say the explosion was
Jeepers.
all part of a dangerous reaction. CBS 4 News
Zoinks.
has the details.
Because it just boom.
Mary Lou Ward of Gulf Cove grateful no one was sitting.
Yeah, that really blew that bitch up.
To hundreds of pieces Sunday morning.
Yeah, that's a lot.
The porcelain is very...
I've said for years now, one of the most evil companies on the planet is Disney. I imagine the board of directors is a who's who of supervillains. You probably got Mickey Mouse right next to Lucifer in that seat. It is always shocking to see just how low they'll stoop for the sake of a couple extra doubloons. They're like a real-world Umbrella Corp, but instead of manufacturing the T virus that turns people into zombies, they manufacture the D virus that turns people into Disney Defenders, where they'll always fight their PR battles for them and constantly empty their piggy bank for anything Disney slaps its fucking logo on. It's sickening, even when they are completely in the wrong. I've been following a story for the last couple days, and I imagine some of you have as well. It's a very sad story about a woman who had an allergic reaction and died after eating at a Disney Springs restaurant. And the holly jolly old assholes at Disney are arguing that because the husband signed up for a Disney Plus trial in 2019, he agreed to terms that would basically turn this lawsuit into toilet paper. To any sensible human being on the planet with a functioning frontal lobe, you're probably asking yourself, how does a Disney Plus trial at all have any grounds for this lawsuit when the allergic reaction happened at one of Disney's parks? It's not like his wife had an allergic reaction to the dog shit Disney Plus is feeding them. She passed away because of a complete failure from the restaurant. It is entirely their fault. So the couple chose to eat at a restaurant called Raglan Road Irish Pub, and they told the waiter that she had severe allergies to dairy and nuts, and she was unequivocally assured the food would be allergen-free, and they chose this restaurant because it is apparently very accommodating to people with allergies. So when the order arrived, there was no allergen-free flags, so they inquired again if it was allergen-free and were once again assured that they were safe for her to consume. 45 minutes later, she had an allergic reaction. Even after administering an EpiPen, she had difficulty breathing, collapsed, and later passed away. And the husband is rightfully trying to sue Disney for this because it is a colossal fuck up here. And Disney's just dancing on her grave. They're just spitting on her memory by trying to toss out the wrongful death lawsuit, by trying to say that the husband signed up for a Disney Plus account in 2019, which has language that prevents them from being sued in this manner. It'd have to be through arbitration, meaning it's overseen by a neutral third party and not a judge. And also, he had apparently agreed to similar terms when purchasing a park ticket online in September 2023. So this opened up a massive can of worms here about all of the sneaky, scummy shit companies sneak into their terms when you sign up for services or if you purchase things online. You know that shit that every human being on the planet skips through with agreeing to terms and conditions? Yeah, it turns out sometimes there's some really awful shit in there. I wanted to wait before talking about this because I've been talking to a lawyer about it because I was very curious if there is any legs at all for Disney to stand on here. But I just couldn't wait because I've already seen a couple of conversations about why it's entirely this couple's fault for gambling with their food allergies. The state of the world is so fucking saddening. How is it a gamble? So she was allergic to dairy and nuts, and this was made abundantly clear to the staff of a restaurant that is well known for being accommodating to allergies. Apparently this restaurant has a commitment to being very conscious of allergens. So they chose this restaurant for that reason and made it very clear multiple times that dairy and nuts were a problem. And they were assured multiple times that the food they had ordered was not going to pose any problems for that allergy. They did everything they could. That's not gambling, you absolute Cro-Magnon that are arguing that it's actually their fault, Disney's blameless. This is what I'm talking about with the D virus. People falling over themselves to try and take bullets for Disney. It is a fuck up from the restaurant and by extension, Disney. I know they have more money than God, but even still, this is such an outrageous claim to be making because signing up for a Disney Plus trial should have no effect on what happens at a Disney park. That's not related at all. It shouldn't extend to that. Just imagine if that was normal. Let's say you're on a Boeing flight and all the screws on the flight all of a sudden just spontaneously pop off like a water balloon exploding, and all of a sudden your plane just disassembles itself in the air and you die. Everyone dies on board because the Boeing flight malfunctions, as Boeing flights are known to do these days. Well, what if Boeing said, that's a real shame about that, but you know, we can't be held liable for this because every single one of them, when purchasing their tickets online, agreed that no matter what happens, it's going to have to go to arbitration, so sorry about that, but really condolences. I am super confident that wouldn't work. You can't just have this blanket statement of, whatever happens, not our fault, and you agreed to it. See, you said right here, doesn't matter, you're fucked. Like, that can't work. And from what I've heard from a couple of lawyers that have talked about it online, as well as a couple conversations I've had, this doesn't really protect Disney, but this has become so common in contracts as a way of trying to weasel big corporations out of liability. But it's still scary because it does give them some leverage to fight on. It gives them an angle, and with the amount of money they can pour into defending themselves, it's going to make it very hard for normal people to fight back, even when Disney is 100% responsible for the tragedy that occurred. But at least Disney's very apologetic here. We're deeply saddened by the family's loss and understand their grief. Given that this restaurant is neither owned nor operated by Disney, we are merely defending ourselves against the plaintiff's attorney's attempt to include us in their lawsuit against the restaurant. They're fundamentally going, we don't know those guys. They just use our land. We're kind of just like a landlord. We are not associated with those scoundrels over there at all. No, not us. Nope. You're coming after the wrong guy, bub. Go after them. Not our fault. And if you do want to go after us, you can't really because your Disney Plus free trial from 2019. Did you forget about that? Eek, sorry. Now, the lawyer representing the family called it absurd and preposterous, saying that the case is based on the incredible argument that any person who signs up for an account, even free trials that are not extended beyond the trial period, will have forever waived the right to a jury trial, which is pure insanity. And they also argue that Mr. Piccolo, the husband, agreed to the terms of use for himself. But he's now acting on behalf of his late wife, who never agreed to the terms, which I think is a really strong point. I think the lawyer is right here. His wife never signed up for the Disney Plus trial, thus she shouldn't be subjected to the fucking shackle and chains that apparently every Disney Plus subscriber is now succumbed to. The lawyer then goes on to say, the notion that terms agreed to by a consumer when creating a Disney Plus free trial account would forever bar that consumer's right to a jury trial in any dispute with any Disney affiliate or subsidiary is so outrageously unreasonable and unfair as to shock the judicial conscience. It really is exceptionally evil, and from what I've read here, it's not exclusive to Disney. So apparently there was even a time where they were going to get close to protecting consumers from this kind of shit with like these arbitration clauses that get snuck into contracts that you sign up for unknowingly, because it is unreasonable to expect anyone to read all 65 pages of every terms and condition for every service you sign up for. There's no human being on the planet that has the chutzpah to sit through and read all of that. But apparently that ruling that was going to protect consumers got fucked in Congress. So it's just, corporations really do operate on a different level than everything and everyone else. So no matter how much they are pushed to stop this shady shit, they can always pay their way out of it so it never actually sees the light of day and they can continue to do the scummiest things. Another quote here is, most of the companies in the U.S. require mandatory arbitration and allows them to, by and large, cut off much relief. Companies love it, but individuals who are harmed by these corporations really don't have any access to any form that would give them relief, as that's a real problem. It just limits consumers' options. It protects companies by fucking consumers in the face. The Supreme Court's view is, if you don't like it, don't sign it. Which is a super easy position to have for all the troglodytes in Supreme Court, because they're so ancient and archaic that these geriatric fossils don't sign up for anything or any service because they don't even know what a goddamn computer is. They're still learning about that mystical, magical thing called the cyberspace and the internet. So they don't even know what the fuck this is. All they need to know is what the corporations tell them they need to know. But every normal person in the world all has different services that they have to sign up for. I'm not talking about just like entertainment services. Like, no one needs to have like a Netflix account or anything, or Epic Games account or something. But even just like, I remember 10 years ago when I was in my apartment, there was an online sign up I had to do that had pages upon pages upon pages of terms and conditions. And I didn't read through all of them. I feel like most people don't read through all of them. Banking online, all types of services that are literally required for most normal people all have tons and tons of terms and conditions, and they are probably sneaking in some truly heinous shit. And this story right here helps shine a light on some of it and how unreasonable it is. And the Supreme Court saying if you don't like it, don't sign up for it is just, that's not realistic. It's just not at all. But yeah, anyway, this shit is super horrible. Disney super sucks. That's about it. See ya. If you're standing up, you're gonna want to take a seat, because I've got a doozy for you today. Have you ever thought to yourself, man, it'd be great if anime was real. Our world is so boring. And I can even sympathize with that a bit. I think it'd be great to like scream really loud and get huge muscles and grow taller. But then you need to take a step back and read a headline like this and realize that we're already living in an anime. And it's a goddamn shonen shithole. There's a Destiny YouTuber who's currently being sued by Bungie for $7.6 million. And just like the Celtics in the NBA Finals, he will absolutely lose. He doesn't stand a chance. He'd have better luck finding $7.6 million in the gutter than winning this lawsuit against Bungie. This guy took the plot of Death Note and applied it to YouTube. He basically became a Diet Kira, and as a result, it cost him his entire life here with this lawsuit. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I've loosely followed this story since it broke a couple months ago, and my god, there's so many twists and turns in here, it makes Game of Thrones look tame. It is so unbelievably goofy. And you all know how much I love like the goofy and the wacky, and my god, I'm ashamed to say it, but even the silly too. And this story is absolutely among the cream of the crop in that ballpark. So, let me break all of it down for you. A couple months ago, Destiny content creators had their judgment day. Rapture had occurred. In total, 96 videos just vanished from a multitude of Destiny content creators seemingly out of nowhere and for no reason. The videos were totally innocent. There was nothing wrong with them, but they had all been struck down by a company called CSC, which is a legitimate copyright management firm that represents Bungie. So, content creators rightfully were very upset with Bungie, thinking that they'd betrayed the community. Bungie had decided to go to war against the creators, and it was this big bloodbath online for a while of people hating Bungie for what they did. But it turns out Bungie was also a victim. Their own videos got copyright struck and taken down by the same CSC agency. So what went wrong? Did an employee go rogue? Just have a Winter Soldier moment and just go full nuclear and take all Destiny content down as they saw fit? Well, as it turns out, there was a bad actor impersonating CSC Global. And they were the puppet master behind the scenes taking down all of these videos. So it naturally became the question of who is doing it and why, because Bungie also put out a statement saying they're affected and they're investigating because this is not okay. Bungie wouldn't do this, it's not them. They were as confused as the rest of the community. But they weren't just confused, they were furious. They went fucking berserk. They weren't just mad at this douchebag that was copyright striking everyone with these fraudulent takedown requests. They were mad at YouTube. They took YouTube to court in order to get Google to finally reveal the identity of the person behind this, because YouTube was putting up a big stink about it. They even had the same problems as normal YouTubers, saying Bungie went through customer service and didn't get the issue solved for days. They even said that YouTube support didn't even respond to them in a timely fashion, if at all. Reading this when it was happening was shocking, because even a billion-dollar company like Bungie has to go through the same channels as the fucking goobers like me and all other YouTubers do. And it sucks. It's trash. Bungie got a taste of what it's like to be a normal YouTuber for a little bit. You get no answers, you get no response, and you get no solutions when you go up to like the top of the food chain of YouTube. They would have had better luck just doing what all the rest of us do and start whining on Twitter about it and crying for YouTube's attention, because it seems like the only team there that can actually solve things is the Team YouTube Twitter account. So instead of like going through the court as well as the support channels, Bungie should have just went right to Twitter with a twitlonger or some shit and a trending hashtag, because it seems like it's all they'll respond to. They won't even respond to a billion-dollar company through their official channels. What a joke. What chance do any normal YouTubers have if Bungie, of all companies, can't get them to talk to them? It's laughable. They slammed YouTube's absolutely archaic and dog shit system here with a fully detailed outline of how it happened and how weak YouTube's system is, and then finished it off by leaving YouTube a 1-star Yelp review on their support process, saying that Bungie was stranded in a circular loop. When I read that circular loop line, it was like this eureka moment. A light bulb flicked on in my head, and I knew exactly what happened here. Bungie, being as naive as they were about YouTube, thinking that good systems were in place, went on their YouTube channel and went to the partner creator support line, which lets you talk to what's supposed to be support agents at YouTube. But they're basically just bots. I don't think that there's anyone using that with a pulse. And what happens when you try and talk to people through that is they just keep linking you frequently asked questions, or they just keep asking you the same question you've answered a million times, and you just go in a circle forever, like Ouroboros constantly eating its own tail. Nothing gets solved when you contact that line. It's only frequently asked questions or publicly accessible YouTube blog posts about what might be adjacent to your issue, or repeated questions ad nauseum forever. I knew exactly what happened once I read Circular Loop. So Bungie couldn't even get in contact with YouTube directly initially, it seems. They went to that boilerplate, terrible service of the support line. But it looks like they did finally get it solved because they got the person's identity. And the story behind this is so stupid, it's crazy. There was a disgruntled Destiny YouTuber named Lord Nazo, or Nick. And Nick's YouTube channel focused on directly ripping music from Destiny's Taken King and Witch Queen official soundtracks and uploading them to his personal YouTube channel. And despite repeated takedown notices, Nick decided to leave the music up, which eventually resulted in him losing the account. And he got mad. Nick got very upset at this. This happened months prior to him impersonating CSC Global. So something snapped in Nick here, and he wanted revenge. And then he thought back to the time he watched Death Note, and he's like, maybe I could do that. So he impersonated a CSC Global employee and started filing takedown requests, fraudulent takedown requests, on pretty much anyone who made Destiny content. Just kept writing their name in the Death Note, just another one chalked up on the board, another victim, another body left in the wake of Nick's rage and his quest for revenge. And just like when L teamed up with Kira, Lord Nazo was directly trying to hunt himself down in secret. So he was on the front lines communicating with the content creators that he was actively striking, pretending to be on their side, and pretending to help try and find this fraudster that was issuing the takedowns. So he deceived all of them into thinking that he was there to help them, like Scooby-Doo, trying to sniff out the actual criminal here in this mystery. Meanwhile, he was the one actively doing it. It's so goofy. He'd send messages like this here, some of the silliest shit. Yeah, it's the people like us who suffer, the little guys, or just anyone with fewer than 250k YouTube subscribers and 100k Twitter followers. This was absolutely a plan to put himself at the bottom of the list of potential suspects. So he'd say things like, yeah, I was also a victim of this a few months ago. There's something real evil out there, and we've got to find him. I won't rest until this dubious actor is brought to justice. He'd go on and on, dropping breadcrumbs like it's definitely a fraud, and then even going into detail about how easy it is to take down someone's content using YouTube's broken system. Just constantly saying things like, it's actually a fraud out there and I know it. Just trying like his best to make it seem like he's super innocent and on their side. But unfortunately it was all a ruse and he was the one guilty of this crime. And for this crime he is facing a $7.6 million lawsuit. That's a fat one. To my knowledge, that's the biggest lawsuit against any YouTuber so far. The previous record, I believe, was the $1.7 million against Roblox YouTuber Ruben. this is blowing that out of the water right now. And this is a lawsuit this guy would absolutely lose. He's guilty. Like, he is literally, like, admitted to it. He has been caught red-handed with his hand in the cookie jar. They have absolutely caught him dead to rights on this charge. He did this, and it's pretty cut and dry. They got the information from YouTube. They even have these Discord screenshots where he, like, subtly hints at exactly how he's doing it. There's just no wiggle room here. So this is a lawsuit that he can't possibly win, really. And I've seen a lot of people defending him, saying, like, he was actually doing it just to make a point about how broken the system is. And that's a good point to make, because the system is broken, but this is the worst way of doing it. He's committing crimes. This is a crime. And it's a really douchey one at that, because he is actively hurting the livelihood of all of his peers. All 96 of those videos that he copyright struck were either friends of his, mutuals, or Destiny content creators that rely on content creation for their livelihood, and he threatened it, directly threatened it. That's not necessarily a petty crime. That's a big deal. And that's a wide-stretching one that affects a lot of people. So I think he absolutely deserves to be slapped like this and made an example out of. Shit like this isn't okay. YouTube actually slapped someone like this in a similar fashion back in like 2019. There was a guy issuing fraudulent takedowns for other content. I think it was Minecraft. And he got slapped with $25K per takedown notice. And you know what happened? That shit didn't happen again because they made an example out of that guy. And that's exactly what Bungie's doing with Nick, Lord Nazo, here. And I think it's the right play. Bungie's seeking $150K for each of the works implicated in the fraudulent takedowns for a total of $7.65 million, and plus the legal fees. And just last week, they won a settlement of twice that in a dispute with a Destiny 2 cheat seller. So Bungie's already riding momentum here. They already copped a previous W here, and it looks like they might get another one if this makes it to court. And all of this over Miner's YouTube channel, which had less than 3,000 subs. Ultimately, I think Lord Nazo wanted to do something good. Like, he truly believed he was the hero in this anime, where he's fighting against a mega corporation that wrongfully took down his content, and he wanted to make an example out of a broken system. But he failed to realize that he was never the hero to begin with, because his content was straight rips from their official soundtrack that he re-uploaded, fully knowing that that's not allowed, and even receiving warning that that's not allowed, and still acted surprised and angry when he eventually lost his channel because of it. And then in his temper tantrum, tried to spin this narrative where, like, this system's broken and I'll prove it, by targeting the company that made me mad. And by targeting that company, he targeted a ton of normal people, people that had nothing to do with Bungie. And as a result of that, their livelihoods got kind of fucked for a little bit. Bungie's reputation got fucked for a while. And a lot of the other music uploaders who actually do have permission and uploaded music fully within fair use policies, they took down their content in order to avoid being struck because they thought it was Bungie just going on a killing spree. So they panicked and removed all of that content from their own channels, which again hurt their livelihood and still does because the content's not back up since they deleted it. And that now is now off YouTube. All of that content's gone as a result of this guy going commando mode. So the results of all of this were overwhelmingly negative across the board. There was nothing good here for anyone. And most of all, the worst part of it happened to Nick himself, now facing a life-changing lawsuit of $7.6 million. A really fucking crazy story, honestly, with a twist ending that I didn't expect. When I was first reading about this, I thought it'd be like a group of people doing a coordinated effort against Bungie that they had like a disagreement with. I didn't think it would be a single person that just had a petty disagreement with the company. It's just absolutely mind-blowing stuff. So I just wanted to share this because I thought it was pretty crazy and pretty sad at the same time, to be honest. And that's about it. See ya. Chris Brown's getting sued for assault again. Unbelievable. The Chris Brown? The Saint? No. No, what? Twitter loves Chris Brown. They talk all the time about how reformed he is. What? No, he's getting sued? For assault? That doesn't add up. Deep state. That's deep state. That's deep state if I've ever heard it. Oh, goodness gracious. He's being sued for $50 million after an alleged assault of 4 concert goers. He got 4 of them? What do you do? Hit him with a Rob side B? How do you take out 4 people at once? I just don't believe. Not this guy. Not this guy. He wouldn't do that. Larry Parker, Joseph Lewis, Charles Bush, and DeMarcus Powell filed the suit in Harris County, Texas, against this tour promoter, Live Nation. In addition to the payment, the 4 plaintiffs are asking for a temporary restraining... Oh my god. Where is this ad even playing from? Where is this? It's an invisible ad. How is this not illegal? It's so crazy how I just have to mute the whole fucking tab instead of being able to just exit out of the ad. And then I never remember to unmute tabs, so then I wonder, fucking scratching my head, why when I go to something else everything's muted. According to the complaint, which was first reported by TMZ, it's always first reported by TMZ in every situation ever. Brown and his crew severely beat the plaintiffs following the singer's performance as part of his 11/11 tour at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas this past Friday. The 4 men were invited backstage after the set to meet Brown, who showed up 30 minutes later than anticipated. Before leaving, Bush approached Brown to congratulate him on the show, prompting a member of the singer's entourage to remind Brown that the two had previous issues. Brown allegedly said, "Oh yeah, we were." Wait, what is happening? The suit states that Brown and 7 to 10 members of his entourage proceeded to assault Bush and punch him in the chest, and claims that Hood Boss picked up a chair and threw it at Bush's head. The suit goes on to claim that Brown and his crew turned their attention to Parker, who tried to escape down a staircase that led to a locked door. Upon instruction from Brown, Parker was allegedly punched in the face and chest and kicked in the head for over 10 minutes. The suit also states that Powell was punched in the shoulder while Lewis was hit in the shoulder and chest. All plaintiffs were injured and are currently undergoing medical treatment. So they paid for backstage passes of the ass-beating Chris Brown? Just for... Jesus. Backstage passes only to get their ass beaten by Chris Brown. Imagine that. Paying money just for fucking knuckle sandwiches backstage. What's Twitter saying? I bet Twitter's already in full force defending this. Twitter has Chris Brown's cock so far down their throat. Not really seeing any of them talking about it. Where's all the breezy enthusiasts? I will say, I believe this is the first time he's assaulted men. Typically he likes to beat women. So he's pushing new ground here. Next he will beat children. Hey. He just might. Don't bring your kids backstage to the Chris Brown concert. Stay home. But Charlie, he's a good singer. Not only is he a good singer, he's a good dancer. So this is... Him beating women? Who cares, huh? Him beating men? Who cares? Have you heard him sing? Oh! Someone won. What a jump scare. What did we get? Who won? Oh, hey, it's our first... Hey, we got a first label winner. Someone just won a Switch. That is our first label Dubski. Who was that? Who just got the Switch? That was Fun Awaits. What a fitting name. And here's a response. Representatives for Brown, Beasy, and Live Nation did not respond to Variety's request for comment. No should have to endure what these clients endured, Tony Busby said in a statement. We will seek the maximum amount of damages allowed by law for this egregious conduct. Oh no, there's tons of people that still support Chris Brown. Even, I think it was like 8 months ago now, something like that. I was talking about Chris Brown on stream, because I don't remember who brought it up or what it was. Oh, it was him throwing someone's phone into the crowd. So, like, someone was on her phone, and he was giving her, like, a lap dance, like, clapping his cheeks in her face or whatever, and then he, like, grabbed her phone and threw it into the crowd, and I was making fun of him for it. And then someone in chat immediately started getting, like, really defensive on his behalf as if he was, like, the fucking PR manager for Chris Brown. So then I was making fun of that guy, and then brought up Chris Brown's past about, you know, like, beating Rihanna and beating other women as well. And they started downplaying it. So then I started really going in on Chris Brown. And that video went up on the second channel, and the Chris Brown fans from Twitter actually posted about it to flood the video to insult me for besmirching the good name of Chris Brown. And how he's, like, reformed and changed, or maybe it wasn't Twitter, it might have been Reddit, I don't remember which it was. But, like, about going in on me about, like, how can you hold this man in such a negative light for something that happened over 15 fucking years ago? So what? He beat Rihanna within an inch of her life. Who hasn't done something like that? We've all made mistakes. We've all beat women. Like, who cares? That's okay. He sings really well, and you're bitter. You're jealous. Like, the amount of support Chris Brown still gets is baffling. It's almost exclusively women, too. Like, women are the most endangered around Chris Brown. Women supporting Chris Brown is like rabbits supporting wolves. Like, you are asking for trouble. But now he is evolving. He's beating men, too. So nobody's safe. If you go backstage to a Chris Brown concert, I hope you're ready for some fucking hand-to-hand combat. With 10 dudes. Damn, even r/Chris Brown is still supporting him over this lawsuit. I'm going to check that out right now, but I'm going to speculate. I bet they are coping by saying that these gentlemen started it. The dudes who purchased backstage passages were the instigators. They forced Chris Brown and his crew to beat the shit out of him. They were begging for it, asking for it. Troublemakers. That's my guess. That's my speculation on the cope. This took place Saturday. No video evidence of a fight in the last. I love that. Chris Brown fans just can't even write a full fucking sentence without blowing it. And the last sentence in the second image proves that TMZ still has a vendetta against Chris. Hey, by the way, that vendetta is just reminding people this isn't his first time beating others. Beating Rihanna. Beating his ex-girlfriend. And like, they still have a vendetta against this guy. I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's so weird. They just don't like him. The bias. TMZ is full of shit. Those men were looking for him, and his mom and child were back there with him. And people from the meet and greet said those men were looking for Chris with ill intentions. Yeah, I'm sure if they were looking for him with ill intentions, the #1 place they would want to do that is at a fucking Chris Brown concert where he's surrounded by bodyguards and authorities, and also paying extra money to go backstage. Yeah, I'm sure. What a great location to do that. But I called it. I fucking told you. I told you. I knew that would be the angle. And it looks like the normal posters on this sub are getting drowned out, but people are like, what's wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you? Apparently the way for people to forgive crimes is to sing R&B, R. Kelly and Chris Brown. Unironically, like, a lot of people get away with shit by just being good at their craft. I'm gonna drop an example people always like to forget about. Karl Malone. Karl Malone literally impregnated a 13-year-old, and he is celebrated by NBA. The official NBA still endorses Karl Malone. He's a fucking rapist. Charlie, you have to see this. r/Chris Brown had a meltdown the other day after a video of a cop looking at Chris Brown weirdly went viral. It has 900 comments. What? What? What is that video even? What do you mean a cop looking weirdly at Chris Brown? Okay, I've got to see that. Hold on, I'm back on the subreddit. I'm in the mainframe. Oh my god. Oh, I wish I didn't go to top. I'm on r/Chris Brown, and the top post from today is from 22 hours ago that says 15-year-old Chris Brown was a savage. And it's a video of him, I guess at 15, making out with someone. Why share that? That's so weird. The way that police officer was looking at him bothers me. That's so parasocial. Oh my god, that's so parasocial. This guy's catching a lot of heat for this look. He's just making sure that, you know, there was no women around the area because women's faces are like a magnet for Chris Brown's fist. He's just checking to make sure things are okay. That's all. What in the what? We might not know exactly what they're thinking, but more than likely they mad because they know Breezy can fuck their wives, daughters, sisters, and nieces. And not you. Never you. Why do you defend him like this? This is so weird. Like, nothing even happened here. He's just looking at him. He probably doesn't like him. I don't like Chris Brown. Most sensible people wouldn't. He just beats women. And men now. I have to remember, he's a changed man. He beats everyone. Tell me you're an impotent racist without telling me. Holy. He looks like he hates Chris because he is not Chris. 900 comments about this. A split second of him just looking at Chris Brown in a way that bothered someone.